Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear Podcast QA Live number 207. I almost said 107. 207 episodes. And welcome to another Friday. It's the end of the week for some of you. Some of you have to work tomorrow. But for some, it's the end. So enjoy. It's time to start talking about guitars. If you're new to the channel and you want to get my attention and let me know you're talking to me or asking me a question, put a question mark at the beginning so I know it's to me. And if you're watching the rebroadcast, I timestamp or put all the timestamps for everything we talk about in the description down below, so you can go right to that. You don't have to listen to the entirety of the show, since every show is who the hell knows. This is a show where I talk with you, interview you guys. You guys come up with the subjects and the questions. So, and a couple of things just want to mention. We have Unfreaking Believable in the house. These are my moderators. Ben Coombs. By the way, check out Ben Coombs' channel. Not only does he have a great channel, but he has his own signature pedal, which is a pretty cool ass thing to have. I think they're sold out, but if they're not, there's one or two left. I thought maybe. I don't know, but so it's a nice pedal, eh? Anyways, we have, I thought I saw one other moderator. Hold on a second. You can tell because their name is blue and they got a cool blue wrench next to their name. I don't know if it's cool though. It's just a blue wrench. I'm going to say it's cool. All right, I think it's just them two. And if I missed one of you, I am so sorry. As always, before the show starts, I start the cast early, and some of you guys come early and leave some questions or some comments, and I'm going to read them, either the first ones or the ones I took note of. Most importantly, I am going to read the very first one, which was from Fred, who said, "Hey Phil, I'm looking for a good overdrive to push my amp to tighten the sound." What's an important thing he's saying, to tighten the sound, because sometimes it's not that he doesn't want more distortion. He probably has an amp that sounds loose or flubby. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes amps are mushy or they don't have this very focused attack. It's a very hard thing to describe the sounds that we perceive, we hear in amplifiers. When you say tighten the amp, I think of amps that are that sound great when you strum out a big chord, but when you start muting with your hand, they sound a little mushy. So he says, "I have a Mesa Boogie Reverb 25. Hey, you know what? I had a Mesa Boogie Reverb 25. I have the Mark V Mini, and I did that thing where I was like, well, I have both. I like both, but do I need both? I think the Mark V Mini covers it, and I was wrong. I really miss my Reverb 25 because I think my Rectoverb 25 really got me at low volume some cool Marshall-y goodness. It's not a very Marshall sounding amp, but you can really get some fake Marshall out of the amp." So he says, "Some people say the Tube Screamer is not good with the amp and the SD1 is better." Interesting enough, those two pedals have different ways of working. They actually are constructed differently. So I would not assume that is wrong because of that reason. My experience with the Tube Screamer on that amp is, on the clean channel, I dug the Tube Screamer. I thought it added just a little bit of grit to it. Really nice. You could get away with that with the Klon style pedals too. The transparent overdrives, low overdrives. You know, it's just things that put a little bit of crackle on the end of the note. That'd be cool. But yeah, I would say go with the SD1. I like the boost pedal in front of it. That's how I tightened it up. I used a boost pedal, and sadly enough, I would give you a suggestion, but the boost pedal that I had was called the Self-Esteem, and I did a video on that pedal. That pedal was my favorite boost pedal to this day, of any boost pedal ever. And what happened was I got it, loved it, reviewed it, and then I think I want to say hours. It felt like hours after the video came out. It was probably a day. You guys started notifying me that I guess the owner stopped making it. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to make that pedal no more. I'm done." And so that was the pedal I was using. So I'd find a nice boost, or like I said, the SD1 would work. I would agree. Try that. And they're dirt cheap. You can pick up an SD1 dirt cheap. Man, what a great pedal. You know, sometimes when somebody suggests a pedal to you that's $200, $300, it's a little bit of like, I don't know if I should chance it. An SD1 in today's market, Well, I mean, I got two of them, man. I have, if it helps, I have the Wazacraft and I have the regular SD one. And I only bought the Wazacraft because I bought it used and, was curious and I didn't have one yet. And having them both, I use the SD one, not the Wazacraft, because the Wazacraft, although cool in the little mode switch, I use the normal switch on the Waza. So yeah, just get the SD one. I'm looking at my wall of Boss pedals. I don't know what they're going for now. I'm thinking they're still $50, but who knows? They might be getting stupid out there, $60, $70. I don't know. But pick one up cheap, definitely. I don't think you'll regret it with that amp. Let's see. We have Edgar. Edgar says, "Hey Phil, because of you, I got a Gibson Les Paul Classic priced for $2,000. $9,999. Okay, so he bought a $2,000 Les Paul, but he talked to his guy. He says, my guy. So he's like Jeff Kiesel. He's got guys. This is important. The Edgar, it's cool to have guys. He has guys. He said, my guy at Guitar Center. We all know what he means. He means it's the person that takes care of him. He says, when Jeff Kiesel's talking about it, he's talking about the guys that take care of you. Anyways, my guy at Guitar Center, he gave me a deal. So basically, he talked to him about a deal, and he gave it to him for $1,944. I know what you're saying. What? That's only $56 less. He goes out the door. So actually, that's pretty good. So not only did he save him the sales tax, which, and generally speaking, is going to be between 7 to 10%, depending where you live. He saved him a little extra. Looks like a little extra coin, enough to go and grab nice dinner that night for yourself. In today's inflation, I don't know if you could take anyone with you for $50 anymore. I could be wrong. Doesn't feel like it anymore. He says, I honestly would have never done that if it wasn't for you. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I'm glad that you did that. And I like reading these comments because, again, it just brings it up to the other viewers out there right now watching this. That, yeah, you always, like I said, please, I don't care if you buy online. And I tell you guys this, and the reason I tell you that to reiterate how important this is, if you click the affiliate links that are on my videos and you buy anything, I get like 1% of the purchase, paid to the channel, which is a nice way to subsidize the channel. However, thank you if you do that, great. But please, if you're buying anything worth anything, make a phone call, make an email, do a chat, online chat. Ask for a better deal. Just ask. Even if it's just, just ask. This is an industry that was built on negotiations, and it isn't lost it yet. And to the point where I'm still getting deals to this day just by asking politely. Even when it says don't offer, I still say, hey, is there any wiggle room? Always with politeness, always with caring. I'm going to say politeness. Always politeness. How about that? Just be polite. Say, hey, is there anything you can do for me? Something to note, I had mentioned this, I think, last week or the week before. We talked about, asking for a better price. Somebody put a comment in the video, on that video that I loved. They said that they worked at a pawn shop, actually in Arizona, and their comment on the video was to the effect of they totally understood what I was saying about being polite and starting with a compliment. They said so many times people come in and just be a jerk that they just wouldn't give him a deal even though they could. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I mean, I got the sense of it. And what's funny is I think that's why, because I've been on both sides of the counter, I can tell you, yeah, sometimes somebody comes in and just rubs you the wrong way. There's no desire to want to take care of that person, even if it's to your detriment. Obviously, like I said, you're like, I need to sell this thing so I make money, but I don't really care now because that guy's a jerk. and now I'm going to be to my detriment. So, like I said, always do it with some politeness. It goes a long way. Is what I'm trying to say. Yes. All right. Next pen question, and it is from Southpaw 007. So I remember the sign on. I remember making a joke last time, so I won't make it again about being a left-handed James Bond. Something to that effect. It says, hey, Phil, hello from Montana. Hello, Montana. It says, I wanted to ask if there are any significant differences in sound and tone, right, between a mini pedal and its full-size counterpart. In my experience, messing with pedals, everything from the Tumnus to the mini Tumnus to the micro, I don't know if you call it the micro, but the mini tube screamer to the full size, they always sound a little different. But But that's a dangerous road, and I hate talking about it without being very clear, okay? It's not, when I say different, I don't mean they don't sound as good as the full-size ones. Sometimes they sound better. Sometimes they're just different in a way. But they generally get you there. Like if I had a tube screamer and I plugged it into my amp, and I took the mini Ibanez tube screamer and plugged it in my amp, I don't think I would plug the mini tube screamer in. In fact, actually not. I don't want to give you a scenario. I'll tell you the truth. I've plugged it into an amp and it sounded fine. I didn't go, man, this isn't no tube screamer. What are they thinking? Like, yeah, it had the same kind of vibe to it. It had the same kind of tone to it. Now, if you A-B those pedals, is there going to be a subtle difference? Sure, of course. But that's why A-Bing is good and bad. It's good to kind of help cement your thought process. That's why A-Bing something is sometimes nice to clarify. You know, sometimes, let's be honest, musicians are just people, and people sometimes worry, did I make the right choice? You know what I mean? Is this the right thing? Did I purchase it? And it's funny is, and the reason I say that with some sincerity to that is, it's because it's your money. And money is a thing that you work for, obviously, some of us, and that when you pay it out, you want to feel like you made the right choice. I get that. You know what I mean? And so sometimes A-Bing is a nice idea. So my point to that is, do I think mini pedals sound different than the full-size counterparts that they're made after? Yeah, in my experience, the ones I've tried have sounded slightly different. Like I didn't A-B them and hear like no difference whatsoever. There was probably a little difference. Sometimes it's because they don't have the same control layout. I think on the Tumnus, there's an extra knob. Is that mid-range? I don't remember. But here's the important part. On the Tumnus, and that's just a good one to point out, I like the mini Tumnus better. I have the mini Tumnus. I prefer it over the full-size one. That's my preference. Some people are going to put in the comments the opposite. They prefer the other one. However, my point is, don't worry about it. Here's why. If you're buying minis because of either A, it's saving you money, or saving you space, it's irrelevant. That's all I would say about that. Okay. I learned something interesting, though, I should share with you. I see LPD pedals in the house, by the way, another moderator with a blue wrench. Lawrence taught me something I kind of suspected. When I first met Lawrence, he was making a lot of mini pedals. I don't know if I'm clear to tell this story, so I would keep it as confident as I can. In other words, tell you guys the things I know he'll be okay with. But my point to the story was he was making a lot of little pedals. And I said, why do you make so many mini pedals? And he said, because they're really popular. And I said, oh, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, he's trying to break the market. And he was selling them, I can't remember, I think they were same or less. And I said, I had a weird, I remember what happened. Lawrence probably remembers the story. I had a mini pedal, and I took the guts out of it. I forgot what I did. I think I put it in another mini pedal of Lawrence's. I was doing something to them. I was experimenting with his Golden Dragon pedal and something else. And this is why the story is important. And so I called Lawrence that day and I said, dude, that is a nightmare in there. There's no room. You know, it was really difficult to get all the guts out and move stuff around. And he's like, yeah, it's harder to work on the mini ones than the full size. It takes a little longer to do. And I said, well, why are they less money? And he goes, oh, because they're smaller and people will only pay less. And so that's my point. So it's a perception. It's wrong, by the way. There's a perception that the mini pedals are somehow cheaper, but they're not. That's basically what I wanted to, at least in that case, they're not. It's they had good components in them, and they were actually difficult to make, so they didn't really save any money. They just charge less because obviously people want to pay less for a mini pedal. Mini. I feel like I'm saying mini like there's a lot of them, but I mean mini like there's small. Like a mini mouse pedal. We'll call it a mini mouse pedal. My ahs and is are sometimes the same. All right. Next question that came before the show started, and I appreciate this. This is actually from Rob Baker, and he just said, greetings all. I just wanted to acknowledge it because Rob just became a patron this week. He sent me a nice message, and I have not had a chance to respond to any messages this week at all. Every day was lock, stock, full this week with stuff. You'll see why I did a cool video for another channel that I was excited about, but it took a big chunk of the day. And renovations and stuff like that, just a lot of stuff buttoning up. Before the real heat comes, I have to be done with some stuff, as you can imagine. Where I live, this is like, in Arizona, this is the time we like some people prep for the winter. We're prepping for the summer because you don't want to be outside when it's 110 plus, which is coming soon. Gear Junkie 35 says, I rewatched the Sire video waiting for the notification. Okay. I'll bet Sire is sold out by now. I really like that guitar. That was you guys. That was the patrons and you. You guys actually reaffirmed what the patrons were already asking me for in that video, that you guys wanted me to do a Sire video. I bought that Sire. I was really impressed. Really, really impressed. It was really nice to see the quality of that guitar, and it was a great playing sounding guitar. Those videos are super easy. Those are the best videos to make. When the product's really, really good, it just kind of moves. The video just kind of moves easily through the process of checking it out and doing stuff. So I'm glad you dug it. On the notifications thing, look, YouTube is a mistress of hell, trying to figure out why it notifies some, others. There's all kinds of information I've been told over the years by YouTube, by other YouTubers. What I've learned is, you got to subscribe, hit the bell notification, and even then you're not even likely to get notified that a video is being made. It really comes down to me, how good of a video I make. Basically, I get to watch the videos in real time, and this might help, again, there's smaller channels that watch that are, we're all trying to grow to a significant channel size, but obviously channels that are a little younger than my channel. What I can tell you is see V-Man saying I never get notifications. Here's how it kind of works, and you kind of see it in real time on YouTube. First, I make a video, and which is why you're seeing so much clickbait in all the videos lately. Because first you make a video, and then YouTube only puts it out to a few people of your subscribers. And then when they submit it to you subscribers, when you look at the thumbnail and the title, if you don't click on it, it actually has a click-through rate. In other words, it takes and it says, okay, 100 people looked at it and only 2 clicked on it. So then they don't actually notify very many people any after that, right? It goes in groups. You really got to get excitement at the beginning of that video. So there you go. I will tell you a fun thing. For those that care, most of the videos I've been putting out that have been doing really well for me in the last year is I'm doing this thing where I kind of drive the clickbait as much as I can for the title and the thumbnail for the first 24 to 48 hours. And after I see the videos doing okay, I change that to a more toned down title and thumbnail. Mostly the title more than the thumbnail, just because, I'm trying to get people excited. I'm trying to get you excited about the subject that's in there. So. Because I'm proud of what I did. I work really hard at these videos, and I want people to watch them. It has nothing to do with the money aspect of it. It's just to be clear. It is maybe it's an ego thing. Maybe I have a slight ego about this. I don't know. Maybe if it's just a desire to, like I said, to see your work come to fruition. But I was looking the other day, and I was looking at videos with like 80,000 views, and looking how much they paid out, and I'm like. It's funny. The average YouTube gear channel can charge $300 to $500 to make a pedal video, and I have to do like 100,000 views to make it less than that. So it is not all about the cachet. It's really just about knowing that, hey, somebody enjoyed this. All right, let's Yeah, Overdrive Guitar Channel says YouTube's algorithms make clickbait necessary to grow. Unfortunately, yeah. In fact, it becomes it's a flat out necessity if you don't do it. Every once in a while, I'm in a mood and I won't do it. I'll just put a video like I check out this or reviewing this, and it literally, if you look at my channel, you'll see those videos have half the views or a quarter of the views that other videos get, just because all I did was put the regular title in there. And it's mostly because, although you guys are watching this right now, you guys enjoy the channel. You have to understand there's tons of people out there that even subscribed, even with bell notifications, and they never even got notified those videos ever got made because the click-through wasn't high enough to get those notifications out. And that's my very low understanding of what's going on. I caution everybody to give advice about YouTube when, even at 250,000 subs plus, I could tell you I know very little about the YouTube situation, and I don't trust anyone that doesn't have at least 1 million subs to tell me how YouTube works. Because every time I think I have a grasp of what's going on, it either changes or you get to more subs and you get more information. You learn like, oh, maybe it doesn't work like that. So, all right. The core of that is make good content and try to come up with a cool title that gets people excited. I'm not old. I'm vintage said that Sire S7 sold fast. It did. It sold within an hour. What's funny about that wasn't even a viewer. The guy who bought it, super cool dude, basically just was in the market for a Sire, couldn't find an L7, and he said he went on Reverb and that mine was listed, and he bought the one from the video. And it was funny. I threw in some strings and some other stuff, and he was like, "Oh, that was really kind of you." He's like, and then he watched. I think he watched my video because of the Reverb listing. So very cool. What else? Oh, okay. Oh, let's get through and then I got some super chats and some other questions to go. This one is from Mr. James. Mr. James, I like this question because it says, "Hey Phil, I have a Ibanez micro bass. If you're not familiar with the micro series with a K guitars and basses, they're super short scale. Like I don't remember exactly what scale that bass is. It's not 30. It's like 28-inch scale or something like that. It's not much more than a guitar. It might even be 27-inch or 26-inch. It's short. So if somebody can look it up, you'll tell you exactly, but it's short. He says, this is what he says. He says, the shorter scale than my short scale bass strings. Okay, so he's saying it's shorter than mini short scale bass strings. Can I cut them to fit better around the tuning posts without impacts? There's got to be, well, let me just put it this way. I use D'Addario short scale bass strings, and I put them on micros, and they're fine. I couldn't tell you about other brands. You have to look. What you want to worry about sometimes is when you're cutting those strings super short, they unspool from the top. And sometimes they don't have enough taper at the top to fit down the hole in the center, and you got to kind of get creative with that. But I know for a fact I've restringed micros basses with D'Addario short scale strings. So if that helps, that's a good suggestion. And that's also, I think it's also because one of the things about D'Addario strings is they really cut the strings. Their facility is so high tech that they don't give you a lot of extra string you don't need, which is really cool, especially in that situation. Okay, hold on. This one's from Peter. Peter says, "Hey Phil, I hope you and your family are well." He says, "On my Revelation Strat, I noticed that when playing the D string, the output on the bridge pickup is lower than with the other strings or pickups. Ideas. You could have a couple issues. One, you could have the magnet is kind of degaussed. It's lost a little bit of its oomph, or it might not even have any. You might be actually the other magnets on either side picking up the sound, and that's a dead magnet. That happens, obviously, when I make pickups, you got to test them thoroughly because sometimes you have a dead magnet. It didn't take it didn't take the charge. So that could be one. Two, the second thing that it could be sometimes is sometimes they break free, or the insulation that they're using isn't working, and I don't want to say it shorts out, but it's just not working. That is not the most common. My most common is that the magnet is not magnetized, or it's lost its magnetic properties. So here's what you could do to test that. Just plug it into an amplifier, low volume, just enough to hear it. Go to the bridge pickup, turn on the volume, clean. I would do clean. Take a screwdriver, something metal, lightly tap each post of the pickups, and when you get the D string, you'll hear a significant drop in volume. That'll let you know the problem. To fix that, as I scratch my ear, to fix that, well, I don't know exactly how to tell you to fix it. What I would do is I would put in a new slug. I have them downstairs in the shop, and I would magnetize that slug again and then put it back in. You could do that. It's not the hardest thing to do, but that's what I would suggest. Or maybe it's a new opportunity for a new pickup. I hate to do that because I would really not want you to take out a pickup and and throw it away or do anything bad with it. Or you can maybe, if you can go to a local shop, there's a lot of guys like me that not only repair guitars but do pickup stuff, and that's what I would do if you brought it to me. I would try to save that pickup because it works. The next one is from Nick. I don't know. Nakia Hilo. That's my best guess. By the way, I really enjoyed watching a Rick Beato video this week where he was doing songs and he was butchering the names of the artists. And I was like, yep, that's what it feels like. I got to see it from your guys' end. Yep, that's what it's like when you're trying to read a name you have no reference of. Okay, so Nakia, not like Nokia, like the phone. Nakia, I think, Hilo, says, hey, Phil, I'm thinking of buying a new Gibson Studio Les Paul. I've heard about Les Pauls going out of tune easily. Is this issue blown out of proportion? Thank you for all the good content. It's not, and it is. Here's what it is. Gibson guitars have to have the nut cut really well. It has to be done right because of the angle that happens right after the D and the G string. So what? You just make sure it's cut really well, right? So that's it. I have never reviewed a string butler. I appreciate that concept. They've reached out to the channel. I had no interest to do the video because I don't have a Gibson guitar that isn't staying in tune. All my Gibsons stay in tune. I either fix the nut, cut the nut correctly, or I replace the nut. That's what I do to customers' guitars. It's so when I say it isn't, it isn't. Yes, inherently some Gibsons are, because they're manufactured guitars, mass-produced, even expensive ones are just mass-produced, and they get out, and sometimes you have a problem with the strings hanging up on the nut. That happens, and it has to be corrected. It has to be corrected. So that's it. That's it. So if you get a Les Paul, go get a setup. I know they pleck them and stuff. I haven't experienced that plecking the Les Pauls cures the problem. What I can tell you is this. If you take it a Gibson R9 or an RO custom shop, they're perfect. They're not magic. They're not different. They just spent more time on the guitar. It works fine. So that being said, buy the guitar, maybe put some lubricant on the nut as well. I still do that on my Gibsons as well. I use a lubricant with a K from D'Addario, but you can, there's tons of stuff out there. And I make sure that the nut is cut correctly and it's smooth and filed out and it's great. And that's it. That's it. Your Gibson's fine. So yes, they need to be addressed, but no, they obviously, touring musicians couldn't use a Gibson if it wouldn't stay in tune. It wouldn't be possible. Jose says, hey, Phil, which is better option? Which is the better option? Okay. The Keely Caverns delay reverb or two separate pedals Boss maybe? Please advise. Well, it depends on what you mean by better option. You mean for your pedal board, for size and price? I mean, the Keely Caverns is great. I use the Keely Caverns. This is something normal if you've seen lately in the videos. I have been refining my video process over the last few years, but more consciously over the last 2 years and the last year, even more so, refining the process. So there are things that I have decided. I have a list. Oh, I don't have it with me. It's always right here on my desk. And I was thinking, I shouldn't share it with you guys, but I was going to share it and I don't have it. So it's downstairs. So I have a list of things in my videos that I've decided that are going to happen. And one of them is I'm standardizing a lot of things. So for instance, when I'm reviewing guitars, if you're noticing, I'm using the same amps over and over again. The 65 Deluxe Reverb, the Dirty Shirley, the Keely Caverns. Why? Because I'm the Ingle, because I'm using the 5150. So my idea is like, okay, when reviewing guitars, I would like to have maybe 5, tops 6 different amplifiers to choose from, and maybe 4 to 5 different pedals that I use, and keep that part consistent. And of course, with that spectrum of pedals, on amps, I can use an Ingle when I'm using a metal guitar. I can use the Fender when I'm using a clean guitar. But the important part of this is to give you guys a better experience, you know what I mean, and help kind of like make you understand. And when you compare to other videos I've made, it's much easier. So that's why I use the Keely Caverns. I like that pedal. It's not the pedal I use all the time. I actually use the Nux Atlantic just as much. It's just easy. But the main reason is for videos, I have the Keely Caverns already plugged into those amps, ready to go in the effects loop and ready to go. So that's what it is. It's just for that reason. If you notice on the videos, like this week when I did the Sire, I did those neck profiles again, because that's again trying to add more of a standardized feature to the videos. Something else you may have noticed or not noticed, I think one person noticed it, And it's really crazy that they did. Again, I'm always shocked with that, as many players, musicians that watch videos, how somebody can pick anything out is impressive. Somebody picked out that on my last 2 videos, I was actually playing 2 backing tracks. So what's happening is the videos now that you guys are hearing, I'm playing the backing tracks, but the backing tracks are removed from the final cut that you guys hear. I just want you to hear the guitar track, but to keep consistency in the rhythm, and because some people were complaining about videos, you know, saying, hey, you played this way and then it's faster and you played this way slower. Well, because when you're playing, if it's a little brighter, you play a little faster. If it's a little bassier, sometimes you slow down. You kind of, your ear and your mood changes with the tones. So for the sound samples you're getting now, I literally now play 2 backing tracks, but I don't want you to hear the backing tracks because I find all the time when I'm watching videos and you're listening to a YouTuber play against a backing track, everybody says this, the comments are always like, that sounds amazing. I'm like, well, it's in a mix. It's a full band. Of course it sounds amazing. I want to isolate the thing that we're talking about. It's a review video. It's not a performance. I'm not demoing it. I'm not trying to show off my playing ability or the perfection of the product. I'm trying to give you guys a reference. So if you're thinking about purchasing this, you can make a educated, informed decision to some degree. All right. So the last one of the these were people that came before the show. Thank you again. Matt says, hey, Phil, is there brands where the honeymoon is over? Okay. He says, for me, it's Orangewood. Okay. That makes sense. He said he got 3 mid-level guitars, bridge issues on 2 of them, even with proper humidity and care. So I'm assuming the 3 guitars, he got 3 mid-level Orangewood guitars. I'm assuming. He could have just got 3 mid-range guitars or mid-level guitars. Honeymoon's over. Yeah. For me, it happens much faster and differently than, hold on, let me go back to my main screen, than it probably does for you guys. Because, of course, you know, I get experience with a lot of guitars as they come through the channel. And sometimes the whole purpose for me to try this guitar is for this video content. You know, you guys are like, hey, do this. Or a company reaches out and said, hey, will you check this out? There's moments where the honeymoon's over. What's interesting for me is the opposite effect. When I can say I'm a bigger fan today than I was a year ago or 2 years ago. When I think of brands, I know the question is like, when's the honeymoon over? Like, what brands don't I love that much anymore? But that's going to happen. There's no, you know, and that probably can happen more than not. So to me, talking about a brand that I'm more excited about now than I was a year ago or 2 years ago is kind of more my style and speed. So for me, like guitar-wise, Kiesel guitars is one of those ones where I'm like, I like Kiesel guitars more now than I did a year ago. I play it more. I check it out more. I'm drawn to the guitar more. It's really cool. That's something I kind of gravitate towards. Another product that I'm kind of drawn to, I'm trying to think. I'm looking around the room because I'm trying to think, you know, because a lot of stuff that I've been demoing for a long time or playing a long time is very, 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 you know, like my Marshalls, Fenders, Gibsons, very standardized. What else? I'm trying to think what else really sticks in my head is something that, you know, I reviewed because you guys said, this is the thing that's cool. And now I'm a bigger fan of it than when I started. I want one more reference. Hold on, let me look around. Because if you notice, I'm kind of Boss pedals like those. Yeah, you know, this is horrible. Isn't it sad? I can think of Keely, and that's our Kiesel. I think of Kiesel. Let me look as I look around. Because everything else, I think, I'm trying to think of another brand that's really promoted through the YouTube, because that's what I think of when I think of brands that kind of you lose the honeymoon for, because you get exposed to them and then for some reason it dies off. I'm going to say that's the one I'm the most excited about. And it's keeping the excitement going. There you go. Maybe, you know what? I think somebody just mentioned LPD pedals. Yeah, I think LPD pedals too. That's another brand. I find that even with Lawrence, you know, like I said, becoming friends with him over the years and stuff, with LPD pedals, what's funny is not only did I use them when I started my channel, and I like them just as much today, if not more, than I did when I started. I find myself, even when I'm burnt out, like, I've been playing the 87 for months now, or playing the 68, I take it off the pedal board. It only goes off for a short time before I'm like, yeah, but that sounded really good and it's back. Here's what's fun. I'm going to do this mid show. We did this a couple months ago, and I thought you guys ended up seeming to like it. I get stuff sent to me, obviously not from companies, from people. Some people are companies. And I want to share them with you. The first is I want to share this. I got this gift from Sean, and it was really cool, especially because I want to tell Sean he doesn't know the story. So if Sean watches this video, I hope he does, because otherwise he's going to miss this reaction. So on Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago, Ralph and I were hanging out. My buddy Ralph and I were hanging out, and I got a notification through when you guys ship stuff. When you guys ship stuff to me, when anyone sends anything to me, I get a text saying that it's arrived to go pick it up. So I got a text, and we went there, and because they're wearing a mask and all that stuff, I was driving, so I said, hey, Ralph, can you go in and get it? He went in and got it, and he came out, and then he's like, oh, it's to you, of course, and we opened it up, and it was this beautiful packaging. I've never seen like anything like it. It was beautifully wrapped. In fact, I feel horrible. I should have opened it in front of you guys. It was just beautifully wrapped, is what I want to say. And I was like, what is it? We didn't know. We opened it up, and it was a book, and it's from Sean, one of the viewers, and it's Zen Guitars, the book. I started reading it. It's a really good book. But I want to tell you, not only for the care to send me the book, the packaging and the wrapping and everything, it was just beautifully wrapped and cared for. And it was just, I mean, everyone should be so lucky to get something like this sent to them. And I want to thank you, Sean, for that. That was really, really cool. What was cool, why I said he'll probably laugh, is not that it was a caring gift, and not that I was excited about it, but it was Ralph's like looking at me going, why did he send this to you? And I go, well, he likes the channel, so he sent me this cool gift. And Ralph's like, but why did he send it to you? And I'm like, look, Ralph, people like me sometimes. So Ralph thinks he understands now. But anyways, the cool book. I wanted to thank him for that. But we have some more stuff to share. Okay. And so it's always tough when I do multiple things. The other thing that came, I'm going to save the best for last. The other thing that came is a really cool package yesterday. Just threw me off guard. I opened it again like this. I'm saving the last one that I didn't open. John at Bad Cat. You guys remember John sent me 2 Boss pedals as a gift? John at Bad Cat sent me this package in this little letter. It says, hey, Phil, I hope you are doing great. I love your channel. And John. So he sent this nice little note. And he sent me some Bad Cat stickers. And if John sees this, he sent me a cool Bad Cat sweatshirt. My wife took that immediately, by the way, John. That's gone. Doesn't matter that it's like 10 times the size big for her. That actually makes it better for her, because she likes to wear it like a giant snuggie thing. But he sent me a cool shirt. I should show you the shirt. I should have worn it today, but I wanted to share with you. So he sent me a cool shirt. Well, it's cool because it says Bad Cat, and it's my color. It's black. And he sent me some of their new cables. So Bad Cat started making some really high-end cables, which is cool. And it kind of really worked out because, believe it or not, normally I'm like, oh, I don't need cables, but I actually do need some cables for the shop because I'm doing, the studio downstairs, studio upstairs now for demos. So I just wanted to say thank you to John at Bad Cat. However, I have a feeling this is going to be the most expensive gift I ever received from me, because I just know it now, I have to buy a Bad Cat amp. So don't be surprised if you see me buy a Bad Cat amp. In fact, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I spent an hour yesterday looking at Guitar Center and Reverb for Bad Cat amps. In fact, I would have bought one if I could have just figured out which one to get. But because I'm trying to keep this moving along, I have another package here. This package. So this really cool guy named Lawrence Petros from LPD Pedals, he said, I sent you a package. And I said, cool. And then he told me what's in it. And he said, did you check it out? And I said, yeah, I'm checking it out tomorrow. And then I talked to him the next day or texted him, and he said, did you check it out? And I said, yeah, I didn't get to it today. I'm going to check it out tomorrow. And I didn't get to check it out. So today I was like, you know, I still haven't opened these things, and it's driving me crazy, and I want to see them. So I feel like this is pretty cool. Like, this is definitely cool. Okay. So empty packaging here. It's gone there. What do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. The way I'm doing it, do I really have 3 or is it just 2? No, hold them all up. Hold on a second. 3 LPD pedals here. But there's something cool. Don't worry, I'll be doing a video of them. That's not the point, though. I just don't want Lawrence to put in the comments. He's like, I didn't ask you to do that. By the way, he was very diligent that these aren't required to me to do videos or anything. He just wanted to send them to me. But I want to share them with you because I don't know if you know this, and this is, you know, he's my buddy, so I want to plug his stuff. And because I like it too, so it helps. He does pedals, and what happens is you have to go to his website. I don't know how it works. I should have asked him. You go to his website, you have to sign up to be on a list, a mailing list. I know, we all hate mailing list. And then what happens is he only sends the mailing list information. He only sends them when a limited edition pedal comes out. So no one gets to see it but people on the list because he only makes like, you know, 10 or 50 or whatever. Because Lawrence still builds all these by hand. It's just him. So he makes them, and then you can get your hands on these pedals that don't exist as mainstream pedals. So the first one is the Rival delay. This is pretty cool. So this is a delay pedal. And so again, this is a pedal that's, well, it's pretty badass. And it came with, I should show you this. It comes with stickers and a cool sack to put your jelly beans in. And like I said, these are, I asked him, are these productions? And no, they're limited edition pedals. Let's see if I can remember what he said. I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to get it backwards. It's going to drive me nuts. We'll probably drive him nuts. Okay, ready? The next one is the Dutch. Okay, Dutch Overdrive. Let's see if I can remember. This is a Timmy style pedal. I'm getting this either totally wrong or I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping Lawrence is paying attention and he's going to say yes or no. Just say yes or no. This is the Timmy style pedal. So, and if it is, then good. If not, then it's the other one I'm going to say. So actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just say that. It's a Timmy style pedal, but obviously looks cool as hell with two cool foot switches. But the other one, I'll tell you what that one is. And like I said, if I'm wrong, then just reverse what I just said about the two pedals. Okay, ready? The other one is called the Embers Overdrive. And this, let's see if I can look, is a Klon style pedal, but with more mids. Again, when I do a review, we'll go over the detail what they actually are. But I was correct. See, I do pay attention, Lawrence. Because I just read his text. This is like, it was like 5 days ago when I read it. And so, yes. So the Dutch are I'm doing it backwards. The Dutch is a Timmy style pedal and the Embers is a Klon style pedal. And there you go. These are limited edition pedals from him. So he sent them to me, which was very kind of him to do. And like I said, whether you believe it or not, he did not want me to do a video. Well, he wouldn't mind me one, but he didn't. It's not part of the deal. He's just my friend. He just wanted me to send me something cool. So thank you, buddy. And I want to review him, so I'll do a video. So obviously I don't have to unbox him in the video. The video a little faster now. So very exciting. So I just thought I'd share that with you guys. You guys seemed to like it last time. You know, it's very cool week when something like that happens. I'm not old. I'm vintage said, I just ordered a Klon clone a couple weeks ago. Well, you know what? I'll make you feel better. So another thing that's happening right now, if you guys don't know, is that the end of the month, the end of April, beginning of May, there is a movie coming out called The Pedal Movie, Reverb's Pedal Movie. I have seen the movie. I have an NDA, so non-disclosure agreement. So I have to be very strict and very very tight-lipped about what I got to say. So I'll tell you what I can tell you. The movie is coming out at the end of the month. It is done because I watched it. It's completed. I've actually watched it twice, and it's a completed movie. It was fantastic. So I'm not being asked to review the movie. I was asked, and I'm sure a ton of other channels were asked as well, to do something a la in promotion of the movie. In other words, they gave me a subject. Like I said, what I can tell you. Here's what I can tell you. I'm making a video on a subject. And when I do the video, they're going to say, on my cool subject, then I, just to help promote the movie. It's the same thing. If you guys remember 2 years ago, 2019-ish, when Sweetwater did the Rob did the world's biggest pedal board. And then they sent pieces of the pedal board to all these YouTube channels, and I was one of them, and I talked about my piece of the pedal board, therefore promoting the whole event. That's what this is too, except for obviously they're not sending me a piece of the movie. They just gave me a subject and said, would you talk about and do a video? So I got to watch the video. Now, here's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing with you, okay? Because again, I talked to the people at Reverb, were very nice, and I was very clear about what I could talk about and not talk about before the movie comes out. So I can tell you that it's coming. I couldn't find it. There's a link to tell you you have to buy the movie. I don't know what it sells for. I can tell you that if it's $20 or less, it's worth it. It's a beautiful documentary. Literally, you will leave the video smarter than you are now about pedals. And if you know nothing about pedals, it's like amazing. And if you think you know everything about pedals, you still get a lot of history and stuff that's really cool. So it's really cool. But here's why I'm not old, I'm vintage about this. What I will tell you, and why I asked Reverb if I could discuss it on the podcast before it came out, because you are my community, I want to warn you, it got me super excited about pedals, of course, because it's like a really good documentary. It's not like they made a YouTube video. This is like legit. It's a legit movie. It's 2 hours and 18 minutes, and it went by fast, right? I was like 2 hours and 18 minutes about pedals, and then an hour and 40 minutes, I'm like, oh, I hope it doesn't end soon. So the reason I'm telling you that is it will get a lot of us excited about pedals. There's a lot of discussion about the greatest moments in history of when the pedals came. There was some great stuff, and it gets people excited. And so what happened was, after the movie, I bought 2 pedals, and one of them was the Archer. So when Lawrence told me, he's like, "Oh, I'm sending you the Embers, and it's like a Klon." I'm like, "Ah, damn it! I just bought a Klon type pedal, and I'm sure his is going to be better." Which is good, except for I'm like, I don't want to take a bath on the Archer already. But so the reason I tell you guys this, why do I tell you guys this? Because if there's pedals you've been on the fence in the next couple of weeks about getting, I would say get them. Because at least for a month or two after this movie comes out, I'm sure pedal sales will drive up again. I really believe that. That's what this stuff does. Think about this. It's like Top Gun, right? Top Gun comes out, everyone wants to be a pilot. At the very least, everyone's getting a leather aviator jacket and some patches. Pedal movie comes out, everyone's going to get some pedals for sure, especially certain pedals. Think of all the iconic pedals. They're in the movie, and there's a history about them. So I'm giving you guys heads up, and I did clear this through the people at Reverb that I could talk about this to let you guys know the heads up, because as you know, the market's been driving pretty hard. It's hard to get stuff, and it's just going to get worse. And if it helps you, some good news is the first 5 pedals they talk about in the movie, I was like, I need them. And I looked them up, and they're just out of control expensive. You can't get them. And that has nothing to do with the movie. So imagine when the movie comes out, it's going to get really, really nuts. Okay, we have some questions. We have some questions to get to. I want to thank everybody, Sean, Lawrence, and John, for the amazing gifts. And thank you guys for hanging out for that part. Let's get into some of these questions that I've been holding, and let's see what's going on. What do we got here? Let me update my screen. On a side note, I every time I drink water, I go, I got to drink some water. I just thought I'd tell you guys, I shouldn't say that. Every time I do that, I go, why am I telling them I'm drinking water? It's in my head. It's, it's from basic training. Drink water. And they yell at you and make you hold your canteen over your head. I don't know if that happened to everybody's basic training. The reason it happened to us was I went to basic training in October in Kentucky. It was cold. And because it was cold, they knew a lot of us wouldn't drink water because it's cold. And we needed, so they made us drink water. And so that's how they, anyways, it was drink water. So every time I say I'm taking a drink of water, I hear drink water. All right. Greg just did a super chat to say happy Friday to all of you. He wants to wish everyone a happy Friday. He literally says to all, not, just me, to all of you. Thank you, Greg. Kendall from Bensonite Products says, Phil, if I could go back in time and save the life of one musician who died too young, who would it be? He would save Buddy Holly. This is one of those questions. It's going to suck because no matter who you pick, there's so many other people that, you're going to wish you picked. So give me the indulgence to say this. I would pick someone I actually know. I would pick Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park. He used to come in my store. His son worked for me for a good period of time, plus took lessons. He was the nicest guy. He came in our store. Everyone in my store has amazing things to say about Chester, including me. My favorite moment with him is he bought a PRS from me, and I remember when we were ringing up, and he handed me his American Express black card. I said, I don't understand. You don't have to buy this guitar. You just call PRS and give it, and they'll just give you one. And he said, nobody cares about the singer. and that was just his nice way of, I'm not dumb. I know exactly what he was doing. He was patroning my business. And that's all. So that one's a little bit more personal. I would pick him because of that. Because, it's sad when we lose any of these great musicians. But that one always kind of stung a little extra for me. But like I said, no matter who you pick, Eddie Van Halen, there would be so many greats to pick. But you did say die too young. So, and that could be all of them too, because young is definitely an interesting perspective. Everybody's perspective of young is different. So I don't know how to, something else. I'm going to say D. You're just D. D says, hey, Phil, I want Alex Lifeson 40th anniversary Les Paul Access, but can't afford one. I feel your pain. And it says, what would you do? What would I do? Okay. Buy a new, used, or mod and build kit. Add FRX tremolo modified with Ghost Piezo saddles to an EC1000 Deluxe Piezo. Okay, so you asked for it, buddy. You said, what would I do? Which gives me the best answer ever, because then I can just tell you what I do. The guitar that I want is a Steve Vai Universe, a Swirl. There's about 4 or 5 of them on Reverb right now. I think the lowest one's about 7,000, 8,000, and everybody wants about 11 to 10,000, 10 to 11,000 for the high-end ones. They're super expensive. I want one for this, probably the same reason you want the Alex Lifeson, because that artist means something to me, and that moment in time means something to me. I liken that guitar to like how toy collectors liken like their G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip to their childhood and stuff. Like that's, you know what I mean? But do I have? Oh, I do. I have it behind me. Perfect. I have an Ibanez RG7620 made in Japan. It literally is the same guitar as that guitar, and that's important because if you didn't watch my 5 things you don't know about the universe, you would know that the specifications of the new universes and the new 7-string Ibanezes are different. So you have to buy the older one. You have to if you want that same neck, which is the neck I like, which is narrower. I want that guitar like you, but I am never going to spend that money like you. So what would I do? I would do exactly what you said. I would find something similar that I could afford and enjoy that. Because why? Because, and I'm only speaking for myself, but maybe you can relate. As much as I want that universe, there's no real musical need for that guitar for me. I only want it for, it's almost like I want it for wall art. If I bought a Universe Swirled Universe, yeah, I would play it a little bit, but I would just stare at it. It would probably go down in the front room. It would be the thing I stare at all day in the front room next to the TV. So, I one day, I don't know, no, No, there's never a point in my mind where I'm going to, that would mean the equivalent to me would be buying a $8,000 painting. It's not going to happen. But, so you know, I did sit a week or two ago calculating up, like I figured out, I think it was like 7 or 8 guitars I had figured out. If I sell all these, I could get a Universe. And I'm just not going to do it. So I'll tell you what I'll do. If you see me buy a Universe, you should definitely buy the Alex Lifeson. But hopefully, sanity will prevail. Good. And I will not do it. Because like I said, I bought an RG7620. You can buy a lot of great guitars and do exactly what you said. Fix them up and make them like your Alex Lifeson guitar, and you'd be happy. So there you go. The other thing, too, is you got to get it out of your system. Sometimes, you know, getting that guitar. That's the thing for me. The 7620 really got out of the system. What's funny about that is, think about this. I'm talking about a guitar that's $8,000 to $10,000. I paid $350 for that RG 7620 made in Japan. That's not, I don't even know how to correlate those two numbers. $350 to $8,000. So, yep. Okay. Next question. Next question is Thomas. Thomas says, cheers, Phil. Chilling with my favorite guitar and favorite YouTube stream. Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. Then Michael's question is, hey, Phil, I'm about to post my first sale on Reverb. Got any tips for success and pitfalls to avoid? Sure. Definitely when it comes to Reverb, there's a couple things that you want to do that are important. First, obviously, the obvious. Look, Reverb has all this stuff you can watch and they'll teach you too. But I'm just going to give a couple things that I stick to that I like. One, besides all the taking good pictures, doing all this stuff, one thing I do is I make sure that I am ready to go with the packaging. I think the biggest failure that I see on Reverb for sellers is not having the packaging ready to go. In fact, if you can, after you take the pictures and you make sure the guitar is okay, you could even box it up and package it in. I don't, because just in case somebody asks me a question or wants to see a picture or do something and then it's all packaged up, you have to pull it all out. But I always have the box, the packaging, everything ready to go. I even have the measurements of the box. And so that way all I have to do is weigh it, because the goal should be to get the guitar out as fast as possible on Reverb. So like I sold the guitar, that Sire guitar on Reverb yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. And I can tell you for sure, I'm pretty sure it was packed, shipped, and he was notified of a shipping number within maybe an hour, 2 hours after he purchased it. A couple hours tops. It was before lunch. He bought it and I shipped it before lunch happened. So that's the first thing to do. You know what I mean? Because here's why. We are living in a time where people want to see that immediately. They want to see that the item shipped. So that's the first thing I would pay attention to. And then, of course, obviously, all the obvious things. That's to me, the unobvious thing. Obvious things are taking good pictures, being accurate in your description, being upfront about everything you can, because you don't want to see a return if you can help it. Your goal is to not get returns. So do everything that you can to ensure that. And usually being as upfront and transparent about everything is hold on, I got sidetracked by a comment. So hold on, I want to do the Fox and the Hound comment too as well. So anyways, like I said, you want to make sure you're being accurate with your description and stuff. Fox and the Hound said, ship out ASAP, nothing worse than them telling you I'll ship next Monday. And I'm sorry I got sidetracked, but Fox has perfectly said exactly what I'm saying. He's reiterating what I'm saying, which is, I agree. I get it every once in a while. I buy something on Reverb and then somebody a day or two later emails me like, oh, I'll be back in town on Wednesday. Do you ever get that one? I've gotten it like a couple times now. Somebody's like, oh, I'm out of town. When I get back, I'll ship it out on Friday. And I'm like, and it's Tuesday. And you're like, what? And what do you do? There's nothing you do. I'd be like, you're like, all right. And, maybe some of you guys give them, you can't even give bad feedback. I think if you try to give anybody less than like a 3-star, Reverb's like, please contact them and work it out. And you're like, just to say average. So you got to give them at least 4 stars. So there you go. Next question. The Reverb thing is always going to be a hot spot for a lot of people. So definitely check out the comments too. I'm sure there's a lot of good information in the comments. Grumpy Mike Guitar. Hey, what's up, buddy? Says for the tip jar, the tone tip jar, and why not? I'm buying a Lewitt mic from Sam Ash. Can you direct me to a SA affiliate link? I don't have a affiliate link with Sam Ash. Sam Ash, so you know, is a perfect example of things that I wish could happen. I like I said, I'm very good. I'm friends with Sammy Ash, and Ben Ash and Richard Ash. I've talked to them in the past too. Super cool guys. I like Sam Ash as a company. I buy as much as I can from them, especially the local one. I drive there. However, and their affiliate link pays the highest of all the affiliates, so they would pay me the most. However, I feel like their website is lacking and that there's not a lot of good reasons to buy from their website all the time. So I don't direct a lot of traffic there, so I'm not set up to affiliate that, if that helps. There you go. So but that's, you know, I appreciate you trying to help me out with that. I really appreciate that. But like I said, you know, you don't have to worry about it. I always tell people, don't go out of your way for anything, you know, right? You know, the joke I like is YouTube is all about the pennies, right? It's like my joke is if YouTube paid me in cash, I'd be rolling pennies all day. Everything's about small little amounts coming in, and it supports the channel and all these things. Everything you guys do, from watching to, you know, using links and stuff, I appreciate it, but don't go out of your way for that stuff. Just like I said, in fact, to be honest with you, Grumpy Mike Guitar, I would not buy a Sam Ash product online without talking to them. Those guys, in my opinion, just in period, I think no one will give you a better deal as a retailer than Sam Ash. You go in, you call them. If you have a local Sam Ash, I think you're in Florida, right? If you have a local Sam Ash, go to one, man. They'll give you a deal. Even online, if they don't have it, they'll ship it to the store, ship it to your house. Call them up. They make deals. Sam Ash is still probably the most aggressive, I think, when giving deals. And they don't even... Their deals are so good that every time I buy something from Sam Ash, I always text Sammy Ash, hey, I bought my Marshall. And he always goes, why didn't you contact me? And I'm like, you guys took care of me. It's fine. So yeah, do that. Don't use the link. Get the deal, if that helps. All right, shut up. Let's talk. What's up, buddy? He says, what up, Phil? Got to have some fun and ask this. Okay. 420 is next week, and I need a stoner's rig. What would you recommend? Oh, 420. You know, it's not even funny anymore. 420, right? Like where I live, it's legal now. Like pot's legal. Like legal. Like not even medical, like you need a prescription. You just go get it. So I don't know what that means anymore. In fact, I think, yeah, you can grow it. You can even grow it. I mean, I know some rules, like you still have to be, I think you have to be 21 or something, and you can't transport more than a certain amount of it. But yeah, it's legal here. And so back to your question, a stoner's rig. You need a stoner's rig? I don't know. When I think of a stoner's rig, I think of back of high school. So a stoner's rig to me would be a Aria Pro into a crate amp. Or Series 10 or Westone or insert, Honer. That's what all the stoners had. Well, that's what all of us had. But the stoners, when I grew up, it was all like, we were all broke. So we had all the knockoff stuff. That might not be what you're asking me, but that's how I took it. Litface says, for a PJ bass pickup configuration, should I use hum canceling, jazz, bridge, or classic single coil? Just drop it in. We'll watch tomorrow. No joke, please. Okay, you know what? I'm taking you on your word. No joke. So no joke. It's up to you if you want to use the noise canceling thing. I've never really been drawn to it as a whole for PJ bass pickups. I use Bartolini's, and most of mine are not hum canceling. But so to answer your question, I don't mind using a single coil bass pickup. Right now, some guitar players are like, is that a thing for bass players? Yeah, bass players just like guitar players. There's single coil pickups, P&Js, and then there's hum canceling. I don't actively look at or seek out noise canceling, hum canceling, not noise canceling, hum canceling pickups for bass. It's not something I worry about. Gil says, can you endorse new Dan Electro baritones? Can I endorse them? New ones? I cannot. I have not tried them. I tried the old Dane Electro Baritone. I dug that. I played that on Marty Swartz's channel, but I have not. If there's a newer one than that. So let me put it this way. The Dane Electro Baritone that I played, I really liked. I played it with Marty Swartz on his channel. I brought it to him, and we played it on his channel. Dane Electro had sent one out. I'm not a baritone person. That's what I learned about baritones. I'm not a baritone person. I don't currently own a baritone, and I have no desire to own a baritone. I think they're cool, but when I say I think they're cool, it's like one of those things, like I pick it up, I play it for a little while, and I go, I don't have a purpose for that in my musical journey, so I don't own it. It becomes, I kind of went through that phase, like a lot of us do, where you have this desire to own everything for every scenario. You know, I need a fretless bass. I need a 5-string bass. I need a 4-string bass. I need a baritone guitar. I need a 12-string guitar. I need, for all these situations. And then what I realized is I don't really make a whole lot of music with those types of instruments. So it's not something that I used. And so I just found my way not using them. I like them, but not enough to use them all the time. So I don't really use them. So companies have reached out. I think since Dane Electro sending that baritone, I think Schecter, definitely PRS, Halo, and somebody else all asked me if I would review a baritone, and I sent everybody the same message. I thank you for asking, but I'm not interested in checking out a baritone right now. So that would be something you have to come backwards. So when it comes to stuff like that, you guys have to ask me for that video, and then I make it. See, companies ask me, if a company asks me, I have to either A, think you guys already want to see that video, or B, I'm interested in it. I wasn't interested in doing a baritone, and I didn't think you guys were either. So I just said no. But there you go. Adrian says, hey, Phil, keep up the great work. All right, I will. Thank you. Oh, there's more. It says, your thoughts on the Schecter guitars. I just got a C1 Platinum used for $300, and it's simply excellent for the money. I absolutely agree. Schecter guitars, I think, are some of the best guitars. And I always feel bad because I constantly say the same thing you just said. They're great for the money, but they're just great guitars, period. I'm reviewing a Schecter C1 right now that I bought. And it was a weird one. You guys didn't ask me to buy this one. I bought a bunch of guitars, as you know, from you guys' recommendations, and those are the ones that you've been seeing lately. And then while I was buying those guitars, I guess I got caught up in the moment, and I ordered this Schecter C1, and I thought it was gonna be the coolest thing. And I'm really impressed with it. So much so that I like it more. I was just thinking about this last night. It was really interesting. I like it more than my Made in Japan E2 that was double the price. Not that the E2 is bad. It's great. It's a fantastic guitar. But I'm just saying, when I was A-Bing them and kind of thinking about them, I was like, man, I really kind of like the Schecter more. In other words, I was thinking, I'd rather keep this Schecter and get rid of this E2. That's how I was thinking. I haven't decided to do that, but I was kind of in my mind going, I think when this video is done, maybe the Schecter is going to stay and the E2 is going to go. Just something about that guitar. Yeah, I like Schecters. A lot. I just do. Really good stuff. Adrian says, hey, Phil, I just got a Les Paul Classic with super dark, muffled, boomy sounding pickups. Okay. Looking for love in all the wrong places. Yes, no. He says he's looking for something with lots of clarity, not so bassy and clean, like a Strat, LOL. With low to medium output. I would look at those Pete Thornbuckers, man. They sound fantastic in a Les Paul. They would do great. Very Strat-like, very clear, very crisp. They would be everything you just said. They would fix that. So I would highly recommend those to check out. There you go. And I did a review of those. You can check that out. And in that review, I did both versions because Pete uses them both in his Sir and in his Les Paul style guitar. I say style because I don't know if his is a real Gibson or not. I don't remember what he said. I messaged Pete before I did that video about whether or not he uses treble bleeds, and he uses them in his Les Paul style guitar and not his Sir. So Bruce, the shark from Jaws says, Bruce says, I just bought a new 60s standard that I found online at Rainbow Guitars in Arizona, down in Tucson. Yeah, I called them, and just as you said, I got a great deal on it. And again, I like you guys to reaffirm this. I really cool that you guys like those suggestions. And again, it just kind of reaffirms everybody else. Like, yeah, make those calls. Call, email, like chat. If it's funny is I always say email and chat. If you're awkward, hey, look, some of us are awkward about this stuff. You know, it's hard. Some of us love the fight. They love the growl of the negotiation. Some people feel a little, you know, awkward because here's why. And this is why it's interesting. If you've been playing guitar for many, many years, like a lot of us, this is the world we grew up in. You go to the store and whatever they said, you're like, yeah, would you take this? You know, you don't say that, but that's what you're thinking. But if you're newer to guitar, this is weird. Going in a store or going to a website and be like, hey, can you give me a deal? Because you don't go in Target and you're like, okay, I like this blender, but hey, sir, could you give me a deal on this blender? Right? You know, even Best Buy, those, you know, remember Circuit City, for those of us in the US, Circuit City that's how it worked. You know, I remember when I bought my wife her first digital camera, which I think was like $1,200. And was like 1 megapixel. No, it was like 5 or something. I was something stupid. And that's what it was. You went to Circuit City, and the person there would help you. They would show you everything. It was amazing. It was like getting a real experience. You know, if somebody knew what they were talking about, would help you with the product, and then you'd be like, hey, can you hook us up? And he's like, yeah, I throw in a couple SD cards and get you like tax out the door. And you would just, like, yeah. And then they died, of course. So, you know, Circuit City died, but they died not because of that. They actually took away the commissions, and then they lost all the good salespeople. I don't know if that's the cause of their demise, but that happened. And then now we have Best Buy, where you walk in and it's like, you know, now you can't get anybody to get something out of a cabinet for you anymore because no one cares, because they don't get any kind of, you know, reward for that. So what's my point? My point is, I'm glad you guys are affirming that, because again, it's a nice conversation to have, that it's important. And again, remembering, you know, it's important. Let me hit some of your comments. Mike Jones says, the downsides of haggling are, there's downsides. Okay, let's see what they are. Says, it means the prices are inflated, so you have to do extra work to get the real price. What happened to just selling the real price, just being with? So I like that comment, but I don't agree with it. So, you know, look, in my years of selling, I mean, literally, we would have a 30% margin in a perfect situation a lot of times. So imagine, you know, $1,000, we would pay $7 for the product. That's the profit, but that's before, you know, you pay employees, before you pay the rent, before you pay the AC, before you know, right? All that stuff. Plus, you know, and then it's just, so there's a lot of expenses. And so someone come in and go, think about this. Somebody come in and go, give me 15% off. That's half of your margin. And I mean, that's not a joke. So as soon as you go to $850, you went from $300 to $150. Imagine cutting what your income in half. That's what it was like having those conversations. Now notice I don't have stories like, what was wrong with you people? Why'd you do that? No, because I can tell you, these are the things you learn. I learned in my life. And again, everybody's going to have a different experience, but this is mine. I would rather take half the money than have no money. You know, sometimes I didn't have to, so I didn't. Sometimes, you know, everything was paid. Life was good. Store was booming. Somebody came in. You know, there was no incentive for me to give them a deal, and they didn't get a deal. Why? I didn't have any incentive. Maybe I was fine. Everything was fine. And I don't mean financial disparity. I mean just fine. You're just fine. Now, to make a deal doesn't mean that the store was doing badly. It's just like, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and make a deal on this. So it's just part of how business is done. And it's not always because the stuff is inflated. It's just not. Sometimes it is, though. You make a good point. I'm just saying. I have found that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just really what it is it's competition. Everybody wants to win, right? You want to be the sale. The thing you learn in retail is the more you sell, the better you'll do. Why Amazon won by selling everything for $1 over cost. I'm not agreeing with that business model. I'm just telling you that's what won. You know what I mean? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. All right. Got to get back to focus on questions. By the way, Mike, I appreciate your comment. I should say that too. Matt says, I love the channel. Been watching for years. I highly recommend checking out a G&L Tribute Blues Boy on the channel. I'm pretty sure I did a Sharp My Axe Blues Boy guitar video. It says, can you get them on sale from Musician's Friend often? Yeah, they get smoking deals. I own USAs too, and it's still great value. I have a saying on my YouTube channel, not on the channel where I talk, but what I say behind the scenes. Play it where it lands. I tell you guys this because this came up recently in the last couple of months, a couple times, where another YouTube channel and I were talking, and they were like, "Oh, you can't believe you said that or you did that," right? They were like in shock. They liked it. Not because I said something inappropriate or mean or hurtful. It was just, and not that I was, being, not. Again, I don't want to imply that somebody else was being dishonest. It wasn't that. It was just, interesting that I had let that out, that piece of information out. And so I told them what I'm going to tell you now. I like the saying, play it where it lands. I know it's a golf saying. I don't play golf, but I like that saying. The idea is that wherever the ball lands, that's where you got to hit it. Whatever happens is what happens, and that's what you have to disclose. So my perfect you know what? I remember the video that was being discussed. I did a review of the PRS SE 2408, and of course the switch was cutting out, and I cleaned it in the video. And so there was some discussion afterwards with another channel about the fact they're like, man, I'm sure PRS just loved that video. And he was being sarcastic. And I said, yeah, but that's what happens. So that's what you guys got to see. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm trying to do any damage to the brand or anything. It's just, I find it, for me, it's not even about you guys. For me, it just makes it easier for me to go, this is what happened. Let's just deal with it and move on. The reason I just went lengthy with that is because the reason why I'm going to tell you there's not going to be a Blues Boy guitar on this channel is, so my buddy Pat, he's a good customer. In fact, Pat is one of my very first customers in my store. He's not the very first, but I mean, he was within the first 10 people that ever came to my store back in 2004, 2005, late 2004. And he's still a customer one day, still do repairs. He's the one who brought me the import, a G&L a couple years ago, and I did a Sharp My Axe on it. I was doing some repair for him, and then I said, hey, can I use it in this video? And we did a Sharp My Axe. That's that the video. The point of that is, I went to G&L's factory. I did some videos for them. I ordered a custom G&L. They sent the guitar out. I did a video about that. And I bought another G&L. I did a video about that. And then recently, I have reached out to G&L more than once, more than twice, half a dozen times. I've reached out to G&L about reviewing their import line of guitars. Why? Well, I want to be very clear about this. I think their guitars are very good. However, I have a couple American G&Ls and I really like them. I don't really need to buy an import G&L for myself personally. As cool as they are, I have these American ones. So it's not about the other ones not being good. It's just I don't need them personally. So to review them would be only for the channel and to give insight for you guys and get the content out there. So I've tried to get G&L to send out stuff. It didn't really work. What ended up happening was a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, I reviewed another G&L. I bought a G&L, American-made one. I got a deal on it from Music Store Live, which is what I said in the video. And I reviewed it, and it did really well. I don't know how many views it's got. I want to say 70,000, something like that. Something good, right? It's a good amount of guitar players to see a guitar. And I tried to, after I did that video, of course, I sold that guitar. I tried to use the inertia of that video as a smart businessman by reaching out to G&L again and saying, hey, I bought another one of your G&Ls. I did a video. It's doing really, really well. I said, it might be a good opportunity for you guys and me to do an import guitar. You know what I mean? So in other words, send out an import guitar. Very clear about this. And again, I'm not asking for any payment. I'm not asking for a free guitar. I'm just asking you to send it to me. Their answer basically was they didn't appreciate the fact that when I bought the American guitar that I disclosed to you guys that I received a discount for it. That was the end of that conversation pretty much. They don't like that video that I did on that American G&L. Now, I tell you that not to slam those guys because it's their business. And I was playing it where it landed. I told you guys I got a discount for the transparency of it. Now, it's not required by law that I tell you because I bought the product. Nothing was required by law because I bought it. But I wanted you guys to know I got a discount because that's what happened. Wasn't trying to damage their brand. However, what I want to tell you is I don't think they understand this environment that we've created here. We all talk about guitars and that, you know what I mean? The talking about guitars is good for companies. And, you know, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just want to let you know. So here's the deal. I'm not buying one on Musician's Friend. I'm not going to buy one of their guitars. Why? I'm not going to. I don't have any problem with G&L. I like those guys still. Isn't that funny? I've met them a couple times and I really believe this. They're really cool guys. They're just a different generation that doesn't understand this world. The social media is more of an interaction thing. I don't make commercials. I don't make advertisements, advertorials. If you even know what advertorial means, it's like an editorial advertisement. I don't make that stuff. I make reviews that are based on what I see and what I like. And some guitar players out there enjoy it. Some don't. And that's it. And Guitarist Science says, dude, that's the law. It's not the law, actually, so you know. There is no law that requires you to disclose anything if you buy a product. It's not how that works. You don't have to disclose you buy it. I see YouTube channels doing it all too. I do it too, just because so many channels stop disclosing or aren't disclosing everything that they're supposed to. You are now forced to disclose the things that you're not supposed to. There's no law that requires to say, hey, I bought this at Walmart and now I'm going to do a video on that. Because you bought it, there is no, you're not being compensated. You're only supposed to disclose the compensation, whether that be a discount for the video. Just because you got a discount doesn't mean so there's no law that says you walked into Walmart and Snickers was on sale and therefore when you want to do a video about Snickers bars you have to go, oh, they were on sale. You don't have to disclose that. You only have to disclose the compensation, if that's a discount for the compensation, if it was free product, if it was payment, if there was some, think of this, favor is compensation. Friendships and family members that work for the companies are technically, you have to disclose, so you know. But, so I'm saying that I just do it either way. That's just my practice. I disclose everything on all the videos, period. But, you just gotta understand. I want you guys to be clear on what the rules are. That being said, I know I see the deal of the day with the Musician's Friend. Maybe it'll happen. I'm just not really super excited. I think that basically based on the views they got from those guitars, I think it would really benefit them. In fact, I wish they would just do something smart, like send me one of the import G&Ls and I'll give it away to one of you guys. Right? So there you go. But I was working on them for a while, but I kind of come to the conclusion they're just, as much as I like them, I think they're good guys. I think they make a good product. Again, it's a generational thing. Not everybody, I've told you guys this before, not everybody understands YouTube and all this stuff. You guys look at it like, look at all these YouTubers and how they're getting free gear and pay. You gotta understand, for most of it, you're talking to companies that really do not understand this in any way, shape, or form. So I could tell you stories. One day I probably will. There are the podcasts to tell you some of the weird things have been said to me by companies that are fun. Okay, so on that subject, let's go to the next subject. We have Timrod in 1984 just did a super chat for no reason. Great year, 1984. Lazy Turtle. What a great name, man. Lazy Turtle. That's awesome. Lazy Turtle says, what's the deal with jazz bass pickup sizings? What's the deal with them? Well, you mean, why do they do it that way? Or is it a thing? It is a thing. If you're familiar with jazz bass guitars, the bridge pickup is wider than the neck. I'm sure it has to do with the spacing of the bridge. I've never really looked, to be honest with you. It's just something you have to be aware of. So and some companies don't even do it, but most companies do. So that's the deal with that. My guess is the reason I say I guess is because as I look around the room. I don't think I have any basses in here today. Oh, I do. I have my Stu Ham. I don't think I have a single bass guitar with exposed pole pieces. I think all of my bass pickups are rail design or some kind of design where there's a bar. So string spacing doesn't apply to me personally. I literally don't have a single bass with pole pieces. So, Gravedigger, Dale, Gravedigger. I wonder if you're a wrestling fan. It says, or a Gravedigger, isn't that a muscle truck too, right? Is that a thing? Is that called muscle trucks? I don't think that's what they're called. Monster trucks. I'm sorry if I offended the guys out there that love the monster trucks. Muscle cars, monster trucks. I told you guys, sports car. Guitar is all I ever talk about or think about. It says, hey, Phil, I've been playing guitar for about 5 years. I've been using digital amps. I'd like to get a combo tube amp. I'd like to keep it under $550. What do you suggest? You know what I'd suggest is used for sure. For $550, you can find, see, and this is tough in this market. It's a tough thing. So I can't, I can give you suggestions, ideas, but please don't hold me to the exact numbers because you almost have to look at the market almost daily or weekly to know what the used price is going for. You can buy some good used Fender amps in that price range. You can buy some good used PV amps in that price range. Jet City is a brand. You didn't say what style of music and stuff you like, but I like Jet City amps when you can find those. Those are really good amps for the money. At least they have been. What else is pretty good for the money? Orange amps, again, pretty good. It's what I would do when you have no reference, because again, I don't know what style of music you're looking for, and I know you just want to get a tube amp and get started down this journey. I would look for a good deal. So what you can do that pretty easy. Go to reverb.com, go to type in amps, tube amps, combos, sort under $500, $550, and then maybe $500 because tax, and then start looking at them. And what's great about Reverb, whether you not realize it or not, is when you see an amp and it's like, $480, you can click on that amp over to your left-hand column. There's all these criteria you can click. One of them is sold items. Click that and it'll tell you what they've sold for. Sometimes they even give you a suggestion on the side what the going rate for those are. My suggestion would be to buy a used tube amp in or below the sale, the range of what they're selling for. That way you can try it. And again, in a couple months, if you're, now that you have a little more experience with tube amps, you're like, okay, that was cool, but it's not really what I'm looking for. You can go ahead and sell that and move on to the next thing. That's a smart way to do things other than going to stores and trying them, which is obviously the most ideal situation if you can. Kreenar's saying the new Supros look nice. Yeah, those might be in that price range too. I like Supro stuff. Almost everything I've played from Supro has been pretty cool. I liked it. Some people are saying Vox. Like I said, there's a lot of great amps out there. I don't think... here's the good news. $550 for a used tube amp, a combo amp, is not an impossible task. There's lots of good stuff out there. One of the amps I like that I'm reviewing, believe it or not, is the Blackstar Studio 10. You can find those for good money used, especially. It's a 10-watt, 112-inch speaker Class A amp. I know sometimes people are like, Blackstar is not all tube, and there's also stuff which I don't really care about all that stuff. I like tube amps, but when I say I like tube amps, I just like amps, and most of the amps I like happen to be tube. It's not how my brain works. I don't go, I like tube amps. I just like amps, and most of the amps I like happen to be tube. I like my Spark amp. It's not tube. I like that Tone Master amp. It's digital. It's not tube. I like the Katana. It's solid state. It's very good. Rolling Cubes, very good. Not tube. But back to that saying, that amp's a really cool amp because it's Class A. I don't know. The one with the EL34, EL84, it's got a boost on it. Really cool. Like I said, I apologize. You would have a video on it, but I did the video, and like I said, I got to redo the video. So maybe wait for that video. That'd be really cool. I have to check out because I really like it. Chuck in Music says, hey Phil, looking for a low wattage late 60s Marshall sound for around $1,200. Okay, I'm looking hard at the Victory Sheriff. I reviewed the Victory Sheriff. That was a cool amp. What do I think of it compared to the Marshall Studio Vintage or the Friedman? So in the Friedman, I'm going to say in the late 60s sound, you're talking about the Dirty Shirley. So where I landed was the Dirty Shirley on those amps. But all of those amps really good. It was not a case of the Victory sounded horrible and the Marshall was okay, and then the Dirty Shirley Canon was just spectacular. I really liked all three of them. What I will tell you is the Marshall Studio Vintage is really good, but you need a master amp, so you got to use something in the effects loop. Otherwise, just rips your head off. And don't even fall for that whole switches down to 5 watts thing. That means nothing. That thing will still tear your face off. So you will have to do that. I like the Marshall Studio Vintage. I do. I like it. It's a good amp. But I still like my Friedman. The Friedman new is 15, so a little higher than what you're looking at, but you used to get to pick them up for $1,000, $1,200 used. But either way, I would say all three are great, but keep in mind the Victory, Sheriff, and the Friedman all have that master volume control, so you can get a more dialed in lower volume, which is cool. You know what I mean? And it's not even like a quiet bedroom volume is what I'm talking about. I mean, just literally just a volume that you can tame the beast, so to speak. Adam's question is, where does the negative wire on a Parker Nightfly's SA battery go to? Too long of a story to say on here. What? The weirdest. You have the weirdest question. I'm trying to understand. Where does the negative wire on the Parker Nightfly's Nightfly's battery box go to? Well, it should go to ground. There's 2 wires. Okay, so let's just assume the question. Okay, so you have it doesn't matter. Parker's doesn't matter what good brand it is. If you have a battery, 9-volt battery in your electric guitar, you should have 2 wires coming off that battery. Obviously, red is the hot signal, I guess, and then black is the ground. Your ground should go to the output jack's 3rd prong. Should be 3 prongs on your output jack. One is ground, right? One is ground. One is the hot signal, the sound. And then there's a 3rd one, and that's another additional ground. And that one is because essentially what you have to do, it has to go to that ground because what happens is when the guitar cable goes in, like, it's very weird how I'm doing this. Anyways, when the guitar cable goes into the output jack, it completes that circuit, so to speak. And by completing that circuit, the battery is now being used, right? And so when you unplug the guitar, the battery goes off. This is important. The reason I'm telling you this story, one, is because it helps his question, but it may help all you guys. Some of you may not know this. Like I said, don't worry about the brand. All active guitars, anything with a battery, there's a ground wire off the battery terminal that has to go to the output jack because when you plug in the guitar cable, it completes the circuit, so therefore the battery is being used. When you unplug the guitar cable, the battery is then disengaged. It's essentially, it disengages the circuit. So here's why that's important. If you leave your guitar cable plugged in overnight, a 9-volt battery on an active guitar should last about 300 hours. That's about the going rate for a normal battery, for a normal guitar, a decent battery, let's say an Energizer or Duracell, which if you leave it plugged in for a day or two, it'll be dead. Even though it's only 48 hours, just trust me, it just, the continuous draw on, I think, just makes it go too much too soon. So the cool thing about this is this also happens, and this is why this is good, because this is a fix that you get to do a lot when you're a repair guy. Some people wire up their active electronics wrong, and they do not do it correctly, and so therefore it's connected, the ground is connected to something wrong, and therefore the battery drains down too fast all the time. So even when the guitar is not plugged in, when there's no cable plugged in the guitar, the battery is drawing down too fast because that ground is like maybe connected to a constant ground, and so that battery is just draining all the time. So in your case, that's where the wire goes to. It has to go to that 3rd prong. And if you have an output jack that doesn't have 3 terminals, 3 prongs, you have the wrong output jack. That also happens. Sometimes people, to save time, use the original output jack, and then they put the battery ground and the ground that goes to the guitar to the same terminal. And again, you have the same problem. It drains too fast. So, okay. All right. How are we doing? We're doing good. Okay, we have... Who's next? We have Adam. Nope, we did Adam. We got Timrod. Timrod 1984. He says, my Made in Mexico Telecaster 3-piece bridge has some sharp edges. Okay, adjustment screws. I am thinking of just changing to a 6-piece modern bridge. What brand do you recommend for the best fit? Goto. Goto works great. I use the Fender ones. So, well, do I? Oh yeah, you know what? Both. So on my green Telecaster, I went with Fender bridge, and on the red Telecaster, I went with Goto bridge. Both work fine. I probably put no more thought into it too. I went online and found the bridge that was available at the lowest price. Both those bridges work fine. Goto is a great pick. So I like Goto stuff. I like what Fender uses for stock bridges. I just want, like you, I just don't want the stuff scratching up my hand, and I want the intonation to be nice. John Gonzalez says, what happened to that awesome mini amp you talked about last fall? Did they release it? They have not released it because of COVID. That's, you know what I mean, because nothing's coming from certain places. There's a bunch of stuff that's just being pushed back. That's just how that goes. Jacob King says, I've got a BEOD and I use a tube screamer with it. Oh yeah, so you're running the tube screamer into the BEOD? Sure, why not? Does the deluxe BEOD have enough juice in the mid knob to stick it to the mix and kick the TS pedal out? So, well, he didn't say out. He said just kick the TS pedal. I have never tried the deluxe BEOD. I've only tried the BEOD. I bought the BEOD and I liked it. I have since then. I have not used it. It was a pedal in my heavy rotation. I don't know why for me, but for me, there's three. I was using 3 heavy distorted pedals. I was using the MXR 5150 pedal, the BEOD, and the Lawrence Petros 87. The 87 is, to me, more like an amp. It sounds more like an amp than the other two. Okay, what I mean by that is less, fizzy, super distorted. Okay, it sounds really good. So I use the 87. The main reason I use the 87 too is because a lot of times when I'm recording stuff, it's about what you guys think, and you guys seem to like the tone of the 87. When I do videos, I can kind of tell every time I use the BEOD or the 5150, you guys were like, kind of fizzy, sounds kind of fizzy. And it's not because the pedals are bad. It's just when you record stuff, remember the magic of recording is taking the sound that sounds good and then putting it on the recording. Sometimes what sounds good about the pedal doesn't translate. So for some reason, the 87 translates really, really well. So it sounds really amp-like. So much so that when I would use the 87 into a combo amp versus, let's say, some of my more higher-end amps, A-Bing them, I couldn't tell a difference in the recording, so it's just really easy for me to use that. That being said, so then in the high gain, fun to play realm, I would use the BEOD and the 5150 MXR. And over time, I just really got attracted to having the noise gate built into the MXR. I love that feature. So I'm using the 5150 pedal now, pretty much. So I have in this room where I record YouTube videos, I have the 87. So if you see me use a high gain pedal, it's always the 87. In my other room, I use the 5150, and it's just because it's a really good sounding pedal. It's really intense, and I like the noise gate. So the reason I tell you that is, 1, so you know that, but 2, the BOD, I've never tried the deluxe, and the 5150, I don't need a tube screamer because it's got a little boost, little button too. You can use that to kick that in too. So think about that. I would rather, so that's where I was going with this, by the way. I'm going with if you're giving me the option to have the BOD Deluxe, or a BOD and a 5150 MXR, I would get those 2 pedals. Because here's what I learned with those 2 pedals and why I say this. In another month and 6 months, you could ask me another question and I could tell you the opposite. I could be like, oh, now I'm using my BOD. It's a nice thing. Every once in a while, you get tired of a sound or it's not working for you, swap them around. So if you have those 2 pedals, you can swap them around and change things out a little bit. Where if you have the BOD Deluxe, you just have essentially what you have with, some more features. Scott says, hey, Phil, I have a Les Paul Studio and a PRS Zach Myers with Fat Cat P90s. Would a 335 style guitar be much different? Kind of gassing for a 335. No, in my opinion, the 335 really is close to a Les Paul. It's very close to a Les Paul. I know in your brain, you're probably thinking because the Zach Myers is semi-hollow. It's probably more like the 335. If I was going to guess of your two guitars, the Les Paul Studio is more like the 335. I really like the 335. I like I said, it was a lifetime goal guitar. It was one of those kind of like, everyone always wanted one. It was always seemed like unobtainable. And so I bought one last year because of COVID and because I got a right price at the right time. Everything just lined up and I got one. I'm really happy with it. And, but going into it, I already knew it kind of has, when I plug into it, I like it. It's warm. It's cool, but it's a lot like your Les Paul. It is. So, if you want one, I understand that, but also understand that it's not much different than your Les Paul. It feels different because it's bigger, sounds a little different, but I think the best way to put this, I should say, is I think if you gave me some time, took my Les Paul and my ES235, I bet you through some settings on the amp, I can get the Les Paul to sound a little bit like the ES235 and vice versa. So, okay, Josh says, hey, Philip, been watching your stuff for the last few years and all of your tips and advice and have only furthered my musical journey. Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Oh, that was easy. It's not even a question. He just wanted to say nice things. I appreciate that. And then let me refresh so we can get the last question. The last question is going to be Craig. So Craig is my last question for the super chats. Hold on. We have John Doe. He's in the witness protection program. He probably lives in Arizona. All right. It's a thing here, by the way. A lot of witness protection people come to Arizona, apparently. Hi, Phil. My fretboard has dents just above the strings. Okay. So I think the dents are caused from my fingernails. Nails are short. Strings, 80 to 40. Thoughts? Yeah, it's possible, man. You got some bear claws. Just push it in there. It's definitely possible. I've seen crazier things than that. I'd have to see the dents, you know what I mean, to know, but I mean, it's possible. It's more likely something else. Usually when you see dents in fretboards, they get their impacts from the string, from something hitting the string and denting it with the string, or something else hitting the fretboard. Your little kids throwing marbles around the house, hitting your fretboard. There's all kinds of things like that. It's not usually likely. It's your fingernails, you pushing into it, because the wood is not that soft. But but also the reason I say I've seen it is I've seen some players play like what we call the cowboy chords. In other words, playing the same kind of thing so much over and over again that not only wears out the frets, but wears out spots in the fretboards and digging out the fretboard material. So yeah, it's possible. To that end, you're not really asking, but I would say, what do you do to correct that? There's nothing really you can do. That's why people pay to have their guitars relicked, so it looks like that happened to them. So basically, what sounds like probably a bad thing is people pay more for that. It's like, hey, Phil, I'm wearing the knees out of my pants. And you're like, yeah, well, people pay for that. So I wouldn't worry too much. Brad Guitar Miller, what's up, Brad? He says, hey, Phil, thanks for the plug on the fret rockers. A few left from the first batch, more in production. Hope everyone enjoys and get yourself a beer on me. Thank you so much. He's talking about the fact that we talked about last week. He did the aluminum fret rocker. I'll make sure I put another link since he has a few left on Reverb to check out. Like I said, fret rockers are expensive. His are about $15, which are pretty reasonable, and they're super light and rounded off. So really cool. And if you have a fret rocker already, you can use another one. I think about it all the time. I think I have 6 because I just need them wherever. I have one in my to-go box. I have one on the workbench. I have one in the shop. Just everywhere you can have one. Matthew says, hey, Phil, the other way to get notifications out there are premieres. I get those 100% of the time, but regular videos maybe half the time. Yeah, I do premieres as well. Thank you. That's a good suggestion as well. When it comes to that stuff. All those, that's a great idea. I do a lot of premieres. To be honest with you, when I do premieres, especially lately, a lot of you guys have been joining me on the premieres. The premieres for me should be some tactical, thing that's like, oh, this is how I'm going to get the excitement of the video or get views. It's really because I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Like whatever I'm doing that day, I'm like, I'm done doing it. Exhausted meaning not like I'm worn out. Just, you burn out. I burn out. That's exhausted is wrong words. Burnt out. Sometimes you burn out. I'm sick of looking at a guitar I'm working on. I'm sick of looking at a video I'm editing. I'm sick of something. And I go, oh, I should premiere this video. And then I love watching what you guys do and chat. And I like being part of the chat because on the live show, like today, I don't see your chat right now. Whatever you guys are saying right now. When I pull up the question to answer, the chat goes away from me. That's how I have it set up because, what sounds like I'm stuttering sometimes on the show is me talking like I am now, and then seeing your comments distracts me. So I don't see them anymore when I do the question. So it's really cool to be part of the conversation on the premieres because there's so many of you right now talking and chatting between each other, and I don't get to see any of it. It's like I'm the host of the party. I get to host the party, but sometimes I miss out on the conversations at the party. Josh, he says, super cool story. Okay, I was anonymously given a Fender Big Apple 1999 Strat yesterday. Okay, that's a pretty cool story. Anything that comes after that doesn't matter because that's pretty cool. He goes, any info on that line? Can't seem to find much online. Thanks. Yeah, well, you can because you can go. You got to look up Fender Catalog 1999. You can look at all the Fender catalogs. They're all archived in a PDF. And pull them up and literally look up those guitars from that year. I would look at 98. Always look at the year before and the year after your guitar model to see, mostly the year before, just to see when they announced some stuff, the Big Apple Strats. I haven't seen one in years, but I like them. And I like yours more because you got it for free. That's pretty cool. It is nice when that happens. Let's just say it doesn't always happen, but it's really cool. That is cool. But yeah, I would do that. But like I said, don't Google about your Strat. Sometimes this is good advice for a lot of you guys. Ibanez's or Jacksons for sure, Charvels, Fenders. There's a bunch of others. If you're like, let's say you Google, 1993 or 1986, blah, 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 and you can't find that specific thing look, just because the internet doesn't mean everything's out there on Wikipedia. You have to learn to look for the other stuff. I would look for 1999, 1988 Fender catalogs. They're out there. And like I said, I have no problem finding them all the time, catalogs. Sometimes they're on these websites where you have to pay for them. But every time I found that if I back out of that website and just keep looking, I always find somebody has scanned and put them in there. So, I have the 99 Fender catalog. Maybe if they're not out there, I'll scan them. I have, I think, every Fender catalog from 94 forward. I don't know. They're just in a box. Music Therapy Laz says, so it was you. It was me. Okay, what was me? That bought the $50,000 AVH behind your right shoulder. Obviously, you need some money to pay the mortgage. Yes, thank you, Music Therapy Laz. There's no way I would ever buy a $50,000 guitar. Literally no way. Like, if I won $50 million in the lottery tomorrow, I wouldn't buy a $50,000 guitar. I like music gear. I like all this stuff. There's a point, unfortunately, where my practical mind always takes over my adventurous side. I can be pretty crazy, but the practical side always kicks in. $50,000 to me is like, that's a truck. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not buying a guitar for a truck. The reason being is this, that guitar. So what he's talking about is they auctioned off one of Eddie Van Halen's guitars, got $50,000. That's not a guitar. That's a piece of nostalgia, right? So, maybe. See, here's why I say no. Actually, there's no maybe. There's no situation where I buy that. Because the only situation that makes sense to buy that guitar for me is you hang that in your house. And then I go, well, I'm not hanging a $50,000 guitar in a house where the walls were, there's no like fancy crown molding and stuff in the walls. Like, you have to have the house to hang that guitar in. And so if I had $50 million, I guess you would buy that house, but I wouldn't buy that house. I would never buy a giant house. It just sounds like a big pain in the ass. I think I would do what most people would do, my age or older now, if you got a lot of money. I would buy a normal size house away from everyone. I would literally, like, if I had $50 million, I would buy a house probably 500 to 600 square feet bigger than my house, or better yet, the same size as my house and a giant garage, right? And I would pay a fortune to have some super internet piped out to wherever I am, because wherever I am, you're going to be like, no one's going to come see me. So that's a thing that's different age groups watch this channel. That's a thing I can tell you. As you get older, your desire to be away from everyone just keeps increasing. And I think of myself as a nice person. like I have an outgoing personality. I like people. I can talk to people for the most part. And I find like I would say every year, it's not even every year, like every day I get older, I'm like, yeah, I could see like getting away from everybody. So that's what I would do. If I had that, I would not buy that guitar. I would buy a house away from people, I guess. I don't know. I will tell you this on a side note, just because sometimes this stuff is maybe interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it's interesting. Hold on. Let me get back to the main. Because again, I think when people see me on YouTube and when they meet me in person, they always say things like, well, you're just like kind of how you are on YouTube. Yeah. Except for there's things that don't translate on YouTube. Here's something that doesn't translate across to YouTube that you probably wouldn't suspect. I don't know any of my neighbors. I've lived in this house now for 5 years. When I say I don't know my neighbors, I mean I literally don't know any of my neighbors. I don't know their names. I don't know. Well, I kind of know what they look like because I've seen them. I don't know anything about them. My wife has talked to all the neighbors to some degree, but I talk to no neighbors ever. So there you go. I couldn't even tell you their last names. I have no information on any neighbor. And I don't mean like any, my immediate neighbor. I mean no neighbors. I will talk. So the reason I tell you that is because I find people seem like that's shocking to them. Like, because I guess my personality, they think I would be like, hey, what's up, neighbor? That's not how I act. I literally will, if I pull up in my car in front of my house and the neighbor's out front, I will get out and just walk straight into the garage, or I won't even get out. I'll just wait a minute if they're going. I don't know. I don't. I'm not old. Vince says, do your neighbors know you drive a dump truck? No, they don't know. Nobody knows what I do. Nobody knows anything about me. I think. But more importantly, I don't know any of them. And again, no particular reason. I'm just saying, it's weird. I find that to be the only thing when people think that I'm always going to be talkative, and it's really, I like guitars and I like music and I like talking about those things, and then everything else disinterests me, so I don't really engage. So somebody says that's not right, man. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure the Shinny Show says my neighbors get my deliveries sometimes. That's it. Yeah, nope, none of that. Now again, my wife discusses things with them. I don't know what they talk about them, but I don't. There you go. Somebody says I'm a secret agent. I bet you my neighbors think, that they probably think I'm in the witness protection program. Okay, so next question is from, who's it from? It's from Pablo. Pablo says, hey, Phil, longtime fan. My amazing wife got me a 2X neck Epiphone. Okay, so double neck, I'm thinking. How would you sharpen it, if at all? My goal is to give away guitars to needy kids. Okay, this year. Just making sure. I understand when you type stuff. I got to just make sure I understand it. Okay. All right. He wants to give some guitars to needy kids. What value bundle would you recommend? I think what you mean, like what value bundle of guitars and stuff would be to give to kids. Most of the box sets are not a big fan of. I had this happen before on the podcast. I said I'm not a big fan of them. Some people said I bought them and they work great for me, and that's great. I appreciate that, but I don't recommend them. What I would do is it's different from me because I come across guitars, so then I just give them to kids. Does it make sense? I did the guitar, the video I did. I took a Glary and turned it into a professional guitar. That ended up going to a kid. A situation where somebody needed a guitar, and we just gave that guitar away. So that's kind of what I do, and that guitar I really did not want to get rid of. I just love that video and I love that guitar, but it was one of those situations where it had been sitting for a while. And my biggest problem right now for the last few years, which is not a problem, but it's my biggest issue I have to deal with, is sometimes when I'm playing my personal guitars, I'm like reminding myself like, oh, I should probably go downstairs and do that video. So I go get the guitar that's in the video out of the box and work with that. So kudos to your wife for the amazing double neck. I'm pretty sure that 2X neck means double neck guitar. What would I do to sharpen it at all? On a double neck Epiphone, change out the pickups maybe. That's it. I mean, it's tough. When I do the Sharp My Axe videos, it's always been like either, case by case basis. And I have to look at the guitar to see what's good about the guitar, what's bad. Some guitars, the things are cool. It's kind of hard to do it without seeing it. But at the core of it, very cool guitar. Definitely hold on to that. If you have a double neck guitar, I have a theory, and I've been saying this to a couple friends in the last year. I have a theory that the double neck guitars will eventually go away. So what I mean by that is everyone's come across a double neck Epiphone, double neck, oddball guitars. Like remember Galveston guitars? They had a double neck. There's all these off-brand guitars, some Ibanez double necks and stuff. Here's what I think is going to happen. Those days there's no kids that want a double neck guitar. And when I say no, I mean it's just not, not the mainstay. And so what I think is going to happen is, sure, will some high-end company make a high-end custom double neck guitar? Sure, that's how they kind of started out, right? Gibson was making a high-end one for Page and stuff. But what I mean is, I think they're going to fade out over time. And so I tell all my friends that have them, I go, no, you should hold on to them if you like them, because I think it's going to be one of those guitars where, yeah, you pick one up now for $400 or whatever, $500, $1,000, whatever it is, but you'll be paying 3 times that in the next 5 to 10 years if you want one again. They'll be gone. Fox and the Hound says, Phil, happy Friday. Kiss, marry, kill. Okay, kiss, marry, kill game. I've seen this game before. Les Paul Jr. with a single P90, Fender Jaguar, and a PV Predator. Okay. So I get the game. Okay. Yeah, not the way you think this is going to go down. Let's see how this goes. Ready? I would, I don't know if I'll do it in the order you put it. Who would I kiss? What guitar would I kiss? I would kiss the Fender Jaguar. I would marry the single Les Paul Jr. single P90 guitar, and I would kill the PV Predator. That's basically, and I can even beat that game, your game altogether. Out of those 3 guitars, the only one I would personally want or own would be the Les Paul P90 or Les Paul Jr. with P90. In the idea that not only of the 3 do I like it, I actually like that guitar. It has nothing to do with you putting that 3 in there. I like the Les Paul Jr. with P90, single P90. The guitar just sounds great to me. Fender Jaguar, I'm not a Jaguar fan. I don't like the 24-inch scale. I don't like the short scale. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the Jazzmaster over the Jaguar. Jaguar's a great guitar, just not my thing. That's fine. And the PV Predator is, again, I've played a ton of them over the years. I don't know if they made better ones. Most of the ones I've ever played have been pretty horrible because I'm always fixing them. Remember, all the PV Predators I've ever dealt with in my life have been people bringing them to me to fix them. So after a while, you kind of like there's certain guitars like that. You're just like, you never see a good one. You always see the bad ones. And so that's in your head, So if a couple of you out there probably have one, you're like, I love mine. That's good. I just don't see those. I see the bad ones only because it's not something I personally seek out one in a store. When I'm in there, I don't play it. I don't have friends that have them right now, so the only ones I've ever picked up were for repair. Ice Pick 19. What's up? Ice Pick 19 says, Phil, wanted something with P90s, so I ordered a Rivolta Cabanita. The next day, I saw Beato's signature Les Paul DC is coming out with P90s. Darn. Yep. There's always another guitar. The Rivolta Cabanita I'm reviewing right now. I'm reviewing 2 Rivolta guitars. I don't have my list. I think that one, the one you're just talking about, I think that one comes right out after the Reverend USA guitar video. I have a list. All I saw was the first Beato Les Paul mentioned. Like, I know they mentioned it's actually in production right now, but I thought I saw months ago which one it was going to be. Looks cool. Like I said, it's a cool guitar. It's a cool guitar, period. I remember a video once with him when he's talking about why he likes that guitar. And I agree. I think he was saying it's like I'm paraphrasing. He was saying something to the effect of, it's a good guitar for the money and it's like a workhorse and all those things I agree with. It's like a no frills, just, you know, everything you need and nothing you don't kind of guitar. I agree. Chris says, I just bought a Boss Katana 100 head. Personally love it. What is your take on these and non-Boss speaker cab with you to pair with it? I like the Katana 100 head. I really messed up. I bought the Katana 100 combo, reviewed that. That's the one I reviewed. I didn't like the size of it because I was using it for a practice amp. So it's like hauling it downstairs, hauling it in the other bedroom. It's not like it was a big amp, just, you know, it's more than I wanted. So I bought a Katana 50 January of 2019. I bought it at Guitar Center while I was at the NAMM with the Tone King. He was with me that day. We were hanging out and we went to dinner and then we went to Guitar Center and I bought that Boss Katana 50. And then I got the Spark that they sent out. I like the Spark more than the Katana 50. So I sold the Katana 50. Now, the reason I tell you that is I really believe this. If I would have got the Katana 100 head at any of the points, either the first time or the second time, I would have been fine. And I don't know if I would ever, I don't know if it's better than the Spark. I don't know if it's worse, but I don't care. It's everything I wanted. I thought about it going, oh, it's a head, and I knew it had speakers. I never thought about the fact that it's actually a desktop amp that also can be a head. It's actually perfect for my situation. I want, like my Spark, I like it here, right here in the corner of the room, right here on my desktop. I like to be able to plug in and just play while I'm here at my computer. And the Katana 50 would be, or the Katana 100 head would be perfect with that. What cabinet would I plug into it? I don't know. I don't know enough about the amp and how it reacts to what speakers and you know what I mean? So I just don't know. I wish I could give you some insight. I just don't know. I like the Katana head with the Katana speaker, or Katana, I'm sorry. I like the Katana combo with the speaker in it. I changed out the speaker on my first Katana. No, I didn't. Was it the second one? I know I experimented with it. In fact, I think what we did is we didn't change out the speaker in the combo. I think we ran a line out to other cabinets, and I just remembered thinking that we liked the original speaker the best. So I think Katana makes a speaker for that head. Maybe something to consider, because it looks like they voiced that speaker really for that amp. Could be. Just a guess. I'm just guessing at this point. Jimmy T568 says, what is the benefit or drawback or both of using a high output 10 to 12K pickup with a tube amp setup in your opinion? Thanks. So, okay. So what's the benefit? Let's talk about this for a second. High output pickups. What is the benefit? Well, the benefit is essentially nothing over what a boost pedal can do. The benefit, I like lower output pickups. Let's start there. I like lower output pickups, and then I use higher output pickups sometimes in some guitars, depending on what I'm trying to achieve. A high output pickup is nice because, one, it'll feed back a little bit more. It kind of gets the note going and it sustains actually better than the lower output pickups. I know everybody talking about the magnetic field and how that disrupts the string and it slows the string down. It doesn't sustain, but really sometimes there's something to be said about just forcing things to happen. The high output pickups just tend to make everything kind of happen whether they like it or not, especially with distortion. So it's the output or the benefit of it is that it pushes the amp a little harder. I think they're a little easier to play sometimes, believe it or not. You're not working as hard to get the sound coming out of the guitar. It's just happening. That's a benefit of them. Drawbacks, they're noisier. They will feedback more, which is one of the benefits, but sometimes you don't want feedback. The drawback is they will sometimes make an amp that's sweet and smooth sound a little fizzy. And also a drawback is sometimes when you're trying to get the amp ultimate clean, it's really hard if you don't have a 2-input amp like a Fender or something where you have a low input, it'll just still break up that clean channel a little bit. Depends on your controls on your amp. It's a beautiful blend of that stuff. So there you go. As I'm trying to think if there's any other drawbacks or like I said, I like having a couple high output pickups in a guitar. It's nice. There's one I'm about to review that's really, really good. That's high output pickup by a Mojo. It's really good. I'm really shocked because it's kicking and it sounds great. James says, I pre-ordered a Gibson Hummingbird original today. Did I do good? Yeah, you did, buddy. That's the guitar. If there's a guitar, sometimes I've been asked this question and I get in the mode where I just think electric guitars, because we're talking about electric guitars. Somebody's asked me this question a couple times on the podcast, like, what's the ultimate guitar? What's your dream guitar you haven't got yet? Hummingbird. Without a doubt, Hummingbird. Want one. Man, $4,000. James, good job. I think you did great. I don't think you'll regret it. It's a great guitar. It's why everybody uses it. DDG 8795 should be 7. No, I don't know what I was thinking. 87530 something. All right. It says Phil, PRS Special 22 semi-hollow or Kiesel carved top 6 chambered. Quality, tone, your opinion. Of course, buy both. Yeah, buy both. I have not played a Kiesel carved top 6 chambered. I have played a PRS Special 22 semi-hollow. I think I said this. I played one at the 2019. It might have been 2018 event. I don't know when the hell I was there. Was it June of one of those years, 2018? And played the Special 22 semi-hollow and fell in love with it and didn't buy it. Great guitar. I just don't know. I can't tell you. I would love to. All I can tell you is the guitar I know. I like the PRS Special 22. I like it. I would recommend it if it's in one on your crosshairs. I have not played the Kiesel carved top 6 chambered, so because I haven't played it, I can't reference it. I can't say which one I like better. So, quality wise, I think those guitars are close to each other in quality. Actually, I think they're the same. Sometimes you have to, sometimes when you're talking, you do this crap where you're worried what people are going to, you guys are all going to put stuff. What? Kiesel's as good as PRS? Look, I think Kiesel's as good as PRS. I like them both. I like Kiesel. I like PRS. I like Music Man, right? Fender for the most part, in that category for the price points that they're in, those guitar price points. I like Sir. They all make great guitars. I can find faults with some of them, some more than others, but I think they make great guitars. So I think Kiesel, that's why I told you I appreciate Kiesel over the years, is I really find that Kiesel stuff is on par with a lot of high-end guitars and a lot less money. However, in that case, that being said, there's the testimony of the quality, but for those two guitars, I have nothing to give you. I don't know. Okay. All right, we have Matt. Matt says, my 2005 Made in Mexico Strat has lots of fretware. Refret or buy a new Fender neck. Buy a new Fender neck. Don't even question that. Unless you know someone who's going to refret your guitar for $150 that does a really good job, do that. My guess is, I don't know where you live, but where I live now, that I used to refret guitars years and years ago for $150. Now it's $250, $350 now. And I was just doing I did a show this week with Dan Earlywine and Michael Tobias. And I'll tell you guys when that video comes out. It's coming out on the channel. And a bunch of other amazing repair people and luthiers. And that was a discussion we had on there. It was about refrets and the cost of it and how no matter what number we keep throwing out, it just doesn't seem like it's enough. It's not that it's hard work. It's long. It takes a while to get it right, to do it right. And when you can do it fast, it's because you've earned it. You've earned the experience that does it, so you want to be compensated for that. So what's my point? My point is, man, absolutely. You can pick up a Made in Mexico. You have an 05. I don't remember. I told you I'm not a big fan of the pre-2008 Made in Mexico fret wire. I don't like the smaller fret wire. I like the more medium jumbo that they use now. So to me, I would get the new neck, and I would love it more, me personally. So the only reason for you to refret is if you're just diehard, you want those smaller fret wire, and you just want to refret it with that. The good news is, Matt, is this, please, if you buy a aftermarket Fender neck, which is what I recommend, it'll come in a new serial number, everything. Buy that for your Fender, put it on your Made in Mexico, and then sell the old neck. There are there are tons of smart guys out there and gals that will buy those used made in Mexico necks that need refrets, because although, if you can't do a refret, it's expensive. Someone who can do their own refret, you can pick up, they'd love to pick up that neck from you for $100, $150, right? Easy peasy, right? I stopped doing that, but years ago I was doing that all the time. Anytime I saw, if you had a Mexico neck for $100 with just jacked up frets, I'd buy that in a minute, refret it. I'd always find a use for it somewhere. Somewhere I'd find a use to put it on something. So make sure you sell it, not only because it helps subsidize that new neck coming in, but also keeps that stuff moving, right? The stuff is not throwaway stuff. It can be reused and reused and reused and repaired. Craig says, hey, Phil, can you recommend a bridge pickup for a Mustang if I like the JB Jr. but find it a little dark? If you find the JB Jr. a little dark, which is a weird way to describe that pickup to me, because I kind of think of it as very mid-rangey. I think the little 59 will be even more scooped out, so to me, darker. Pearly Gates, maybe a little smoother, maybe something to go with there. I wouldn't go hotter, but hotter would definitely make it brighter if you went with the rails, but I don't know if that's the right fit. I would say check out the Pearly Gates as a mini humbucker. If you're going to stick with Seymour Duncan, do that. If not, man, I like the Chopper by DiMarzio. You can do that one. That one's great. Or no, the Chopper, because a lot of the other fast tracks and stuff are good too. Again, more bright, but the Chopper would be great. Chopper won't be dark. It'll be all mids, all in your face, all punch. I like the Chopper. Vibes to me, doesn't sound like a P90, but vibes like a P90. In other words, just a lot of like a mid push. Okay, these are my last three. Here we go. We got Craig. Craig says, the saddles on my bass are almost at the highest point to get the action set up. Okay. Suggestions on how to get them lower to allow more adjustability. So they're maxed out. You have them as high as possible? Okay. Yeah, that's a tough one because you can't shim the neck up. That's going to compound the problem. You want them to come down. Again, this is always tough when we're doing the podcast. It's like, hey, I can't see all the situations. First, let's talk about the easy thing. Get that out of the way. Let's hope that somebody shimmed that bass up. Okay. So I would definitely look in that neck pocket and make sure there's not a shim or anything in there that you can clear out. Get out of there. Right. That's the first thing. The sad thing is the only other thing you can do to do that, if there's not a shim in there, is you're going to have to take down some of the material on the body itself, on the guitar body. You don't want to mess with the neck. Don't sand the neck. You sand the body. So, if you have a router, you could sand it, but it needs to be even. So you might have to take it in. Again, I haven't seen it, so that's my guesses. But let's hope the shim is there. Hopefully you super chat me $5 and you went, oh, there's a shim in there, and then life is good for everybody. But we'll hope for it. Frederick says, hey, Phil, what amp guitar combo would you recommend for 80s new wave goth music? The Cure, the Smiths. Oh, man. This is the first time I've ever been asked that. I'm not a very knowledgeable person of that genre of music and the gear that they use. I'm a fan of it. I love the Cure and the Smiths, but not enough so much that I'm versed in their music. So I don't know. Anything I say now would be just random things I'd poke out, like, oh, try a Fender amp. But I just don't know. And, but I'll tell you what, Frederick, I will definitely be spending some time this week looking that up because I'm curious, like, why have I never looked into that stuff? I love those bands. So I will do my best to look, and maybe we can answer it better next time and next week. Mr. Whalen Guitar says, I love the show, Phil. Bought a Schecter Reaper and I love it, but the frets seem tiny. Not the frets themselves, but the distance between the frets. Huh. Been a while since I bought a modern guitar. Is this normal? Yeah, that's okay. So I thought you were talking about tiny frets, like a small fret wire, but yeah, the distance between them, that shouldn't be different. I don't know what the scale length on that is. You'd have to look. Is the Reaper 24 3/4 scale and not 25.5 like a lot of the Schecters? I don't know. And then, well, hold on. Let me look. Since his last question, Schecter Reaper. Is that even a bass? Schecter Reaper. Like I said, committing all these names to memory sometimes. Okay. From what I'm seeing, this is not a short scale guitar. This is 24 3/4, what I'm saying. But I want to look just... Okay. Here, so you guys can see. Okay, so here's what we're looking at. This is what I'm finding. 25.5-inch scale. Spacing. I mean, it could be... Okay, so... Could be psychological. It's a 24 fret guitar. That doesn't really change a lot, but it really changes your perception of how you see things. And it could be, and you're saying distance, so I'm thinking between the frets. Like sometimes the width of the neck being narrower, there's a lot of things, the carve, there's a lot of reasons that can feel different, but the way you're describing that is not any of those things should affect that. The only thing that should affect what you're describing is scale length, really, the distance between the frets. But I would say, here's what I could tell you for advice. And this is the know your gear thing, right? Remember, the know your gear thing is not knowing things. It's not like, hey, I know the gear. It's reminding you to keep playing something until you know it, until you're familiar with it in every way you can be, to make sure that you're not missing out. So in other words, a lot of times players buy something and then they go, oh, this pedal sounds like crap, and they move on. No, you gotta understand, the beautiful part of musicians and gear is so many musicians have used so much great gear because that's all they had. And over time, because that's all they had, they learned to master it in a way that it can sound great. It's not about just buying the next thing or doing the next thing. It's about actually, playing it. Play it. So the reason I tell you that is this. Yes, you said something in that statement. You said, it's a modern guitar. It's not something you're familiar with. There's a point where you won't love a guitar, so you got to get to that point. But I would definitely play that guitar for a little while. But don't go back to your other ones, okay? So when you're trying something new, like the first time I played a fan fret guitar, I didn't pick it up and went like, this is weird. I went, okay, this is what I'm going to play for the next few days, and I'm going to get a sense of it and not pick up the familiar guitars, because every time you pick up the familiar guitar, it's going to kind of solidify how weird that guitar is to you. So definitely play it. Pick a time. Right? I think a reasonable amount of times a week, maybe 2 weeks. Right? Spend some time with that guitar, and then you either know at the end, it's, you're like, yep, I now I can't stand the old way and it's my new way of playing and this is the new guitar for me. Or, it's just not cut out for modern type guitars, but that's how you do it. Spend some time with it and I know that seems like stupid advice because you're like, but that's the best advice. Spend some time with everything. What's nice is I've learned this, and I started the channel on this premise, but I've learned this premise, this ideology. It's cemented in the videos I've made over the years, when I have almost made so many weird videos where, because companies, that's why, like I said, I've tried to back off of the companies, and I've backed off the companies more, like I said, over the years than not, because companies are the ones that, just like producers and stuff with artists, they're constantly pushing, I shouldn't say producers, but, record companies. The company's like, can you get the video out by Friday? Can you get the video out by Friday? And I'm like, well, I got the thing on Tuesday. And like, can you get the video out by Friday? Because everybody's going to be launching theirs on Friday. And you're like, and by Friday, you have this weird sense of the instrument. And I go, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to wait. And every time, spending more time with it taught me something good and bad about it. Something that I could, I could say, oh man, I didn't get it at first, but now I totally get it. Or at first I thought it was okay, but now that I'm using it, I'm kind of like, this is not working for me. So there's a bunch of products, and then we'll end on this note. There's a bunch of products right now that I've seen a bunch of YouTube channels review for companies. And again, I'm not picking on them. Most of them are my friends, and I enjoy watching them way more than myself. But that being said, there's a bunch of products, and sometimes I do the end of year recaps where at the end of the year I talk about the gear and how I feel about it. I would love some of these channels to really kind of come back in a year and tell me if they like some of the things that they've reviewed as much when they reviewed it, because I feel like some stuff I felt the same way. It's like some stuff has novelty. It's like really cool for that moment. And then it kind of burns out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you get in that moment where it's like, this is pretty cool. And then did I actually use it? Sierra says, glary guitars. You know, what's funny is the glary guitars, I still, like I said, I still stick with they're just there to help you work on guitars. I like what I've done with all the glary guitars that I've messed with. And I'm pretty sure the glary thing's over. Last time I looked and last time I said a viewer talked to me about them, their prices are getting normalized. In other words, they're pricing themselves to the point where, you know, it's not the dumb price anymore. They're not worth anything more than those silly little prices they were charging. That's what was fun about them. You could overlook all the, you know, any issues for a $65 guitar. It's hard to find a $65 guitar pedal, but a $150 guitar, you know what I mean? You start having options even in the used market and all kinds of things. Okay. All right. On that note, we're going to call it. We did 2.5 hours-ish. I appreciate all the questions and comments for sure. I appreciate you guys hanging out. As always, I hope you guys have a great weekend planned. I think I have a great weekend planned. I think. And look for some new videos coming out. I have some pickup videos coming out, which are cool. And then I have the Reverend USA one, which I talked about. If you guys haven't seen this week's video, I did the Sire L7, which was recommended by you guys. And I have to say, you guys know what you're talking about. That's for sure. And on that note, I'll let you guys go. Thank you so much for your time. And until next time, I guess, know your gear. If I can find the... Oh, yeah, there it is. I always have to go to the screen to end the video. It's like that awkward, like, bye, and the door doesn't open. That's what's happening right now.